Businesses should know that Consolidated Communications has the only data center in the FM area that is SOC 2 certified. That means Consolidated has tested reliable systems in place to protect your valuable data. That's more important than ever with today's security concerns. Many business insurance companies require SOC certification at data storage facilities. You should work with a local data center that is SOC 2 certified. For scalable, cost-effective data center solutions for your changing business needs, go to consolidated.com/data center.
Rice Companies understands that strong buildings and strong communities start with strong connections. They know the importance of every bolt, every beam, and every handshake. Every connection must be strong. When you work with Rice Companies, you're building on more than concrete and steel. You're building on knowledge and expertise with people you can trust. People who value your investment as much as you do. Connect with Rice Companies, your local Butler builder, and experience the difference strong connections can make for your business. Learn more and see career opportunities at ricecompanies.com.
When it's time to find a realtor, word of mouth is important. And Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty is a name Bison Nation says often. Todd has helped everyone from coaches and administrators to broadcasters and former players and their families buy homes in the FM area. So many in Bison Nation trust Todd to buy and sell their homes, and you can too. Call Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty today or visit him at 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo. Todd is a proud partner and the preferred realtor of NDSU Athletics. Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty, moving the herd one home at a time.
50 burgers, 50 brews, and Bison 1660. Come out and watch the Insiders live at Sicky's Garage at their new location off 45th Street South in Fargo. Andy Rickoff and Rob Hipp, joined by special guests on site each week from 11 to 1. The Bison 1660 Pick'ems will be back with your chance to win Sicky's Bucks and plenty of other prizes. Get NDSU yard signs, Bison swag, and football tickets. The Insiders live from Sicky's Garage on 45th Street South every Thursday from 11 to 1.
Truck Headquarters. Gateway Chevrolet has new Chevy trucks arriving daily. Buy your new Chevy Silverado at Invoice. Yes, Invoice pricing on new Silverados with a fresh look, new interiors, and larger screens with easy-to-use technology. Save thousands on new Chevy Silverados with 4 different motors available. Dynamic fuel management, Bluetooth, backup camera, Apple CarPlay, and more. Save thousands and enjoy the smooth ride in your new Chevy Silverado from Gateway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB, West Fargo, Fargo Moorhead, and KPFX, HD3 Kindred, Bison 1660. Powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
And here's what you need to know.
The Frank Reich era in Indianapolis is done. The Colts firing their head coach as he doesn't make it through his 5th season in Indy. They have lost 3 games in a row. The Panthers activate quarterback Sam Darnold off the injured reserve. NFL Network notes Packers pass rusher Rashawn Gary tore his ACL yesterday in Sunday's loss to the Lions, so his season is done prematurely. Green Bay running back Aaron Jones should be able to practice this week after x-rays on his ankle came back negative. Giant safety Xavier McKinney will be away from the field for a few weeks after breaking his hand while riding an ATV during the bye week in Cabo. NFL Network says Bills defensive end Gregory Rousseau is pegged as week to week after he sprained his ankle yesterday against the Jets. And Fox Sports Radio's Dan Patrick says San Diego State will be joining the Pac-12, and an announcement will come this week. I'm Brian Fenley.
You've got the Insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
The Insiders.
Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proseed. Need seed? Think Proseed. Now, here are the Insiders.
Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders. The Insiders.
Chris Hansen and Bison great Kyle Emanuel.
Well, here we go. Out of the bullpen. Time for the Insiders today. On a cold, it's about to get colder and snowier Monday, but it does feel better knowing that you've got some victories in your back pocket and knowing that you still have a chance at $1.9 billion tonight. It's all in play. So much winning this weekend, but at the same time, so much losing when it comes to the lottery and the Powerball. No one taking the big prize on Saturday night, although our guy Mattress Mac, the furniture magnate in Texas, scooped $75 million. And in what's being called the biggest sports betting win in American history. Legal, at least. We have no idea what might have went behind the scenes or under the table with illegal gambling. But and then all of the furniture customers. We forget about, all we hear about is Mattress Mac winning $75 million. But think of all those people about all the mattresses and whatnots. They all got free furniture. They all won this weekend.
A lot of winners.
Winners.
And I wasn't one of them.
I wasn't either.
My wife bought a couple lottery tickets. We went for it. I didn't bet on the Houston Astros. I guess I should have, like Mattress Mac. He's done this. This is not his first year doing this, though, right? Like he's done it multiple times. And, obviously, if you're betting the Astros as of late, you're doing pretty well.
He's had Super Bowl wins and other kind of, bets that he has made on different things.
And it's like, even if he's losing, he's betting so much, he's getting the advertising. So
winning.
It's a win. This guy's playing chess, not checkers.
I think the number was around $7.5 million, and he was on because he had a bunch of different bets for them to win start of the season, and on average was at 10-1 on most of his money. So,
amazing.
Let's say he spent $7.5 million. I don't know how much furniture you can sell over a summer, but I'm guessing it's got to be north of $7.5 million. So he was winning either way.
Just we're already getting. I know Mike is excited. He said we got to talk sports with parlays, and so here we go right off the bat.
Right into it.
They shouldn't have let us on the show, Chris, because we're just going to go off the rails here, and we're going to talk about sports betting and Mattress Mac, and we're going to let Mike just run away with this.
The parlay didn't hit for me on Sunday. Nope.
What did we have?
The overs weren't hitting yesterday.
Oh, yeah, I actually was listening last week.
A lot of bad football.
You can't
Didn't
bet
like it.
all overs, though. How many overs was it?
I like cheering for exciting football. So if I bet it under, then it makes me a little sadder. But if I just keep betting overs, that's more exciting to me.
So how many did you have in the overs?
12.
12. Oh, wow.
Lord.
12 overs.
Oh, boy. That's a big meaty.
Isn't scoring down across the NFL this year?
Scoring is kind of down. But there's also teams are playing each other closer. So there's more parity. But there's just some bad offense going on right now in the NFL.
Well, yeah. I don't need to jump ahead, but we talk about that team out, I guess, east, you would say, the Packers. I know Vikings fans are rejoicing. Obviously, the Vikings are 7-1, but
dude, 9 points.
What was that?
9 points against a team that won one game all year. It's
not only that. I was watching Red Zone, so it was going back and forth, but they just kept bringing it up. The Lions statistically were the worst defense, I believe, in the league. You can only put up 9 points. Aaron Rodgers had. And Orlovsky said this on ESPN today. He's like, that might have been the worst throw I've ever seen. The little throwback they tried to do to Bakhtiari in the end zone. He was open. There was 5 yards in between him and Hutchinson, and Rodgers just threw it directly to Hutchinson. Like, picked off twice on the goal line. You lose to the Lions, 3-6. I mean,
Lions giving up 29.3 points per game, worst in the NFL.
Lord. He better be careful, Aaron Rodgers, because he's getting. I know he's got the career, all the stats, but current day he's got a lot of Jay Cutler look to him.
Ooh,
and that's not a good look to have.
And he's only got the one Super Bowl, which is crazy to think. Everyone talks about him being historically, one of the best quarterbacks ever, and I think talent-wise, you have to throw him in there, but quarterbacks are judged by Super Bowls, and he only has the one. So
win a lot of MVPs, but not a lot of championships.
That's right.
We have plenty to get to today. We'll talk to Phil Hanson. We'll break down the Western Illinois game from this last weekend, another big win for NDSU, and this one a big win as in number of points scored. So we'll talk to Phil about that from the Bison Radio Network. We'll also check out Chuck Barrett. Chuck is the radio broadcast voice for Arkansas sports. He does football, men's basketball. We will talk to him about NDSU coming to town, both of them starting their seasons officially tonight down in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and we'll also talk about what we would do with all of that money from later on. But let's start with the Minnesota Vikings, the soon-to-be Super Bowl champion Minnesota Vikings. Is it good to be 7-1, but everybody is questioning you, Kyle Emanuel? Does it matter?
Yes, it's always good to be 7.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. They're flying under the radar. They're flying under I don't know. You could say that's good or bad, whatever. But look at the Buffalo Bills. They're getting everyone's best shot. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're getting everyone's best shot. People look at the Vikings and they're like, yeah, they're 7-1, but they're barely beating some okay to average to below average teams, and no one's really saying like the Vikings are Super Bowl contenders. Now maybe now they are, maybe just now this week. But if you look last week and you go across the landscape of sports media, no one had the Vikings in their top 5. No one. Maybe a couple people here or there, but like hardly anyone was talking about the Vikings. And all they do is find ways to win games. And yeah, you can call it luck, you can call it whatever you want, but I always say, and I've said this on the show before, like finding ways to win games is a mentality. It's a mindset. It's almost a skill set a little bit. It's having, at the end of the game, it's having confidence in your coaches and your players in the plan that something good is going to happen. You don't know what. You don't know who's going to do it. Is it going to be the defense? Is it going to be the offense, special team? It's going to be someone. You just have the feeling that something's going to go right, because I've been on both sides.
Right.
And I've been on the side where you have the opposite feeling. Phillip Rivers talked about this one year. I was with the Chargers. We just couldn't find a way to win a one-score game, and it was just this weird hump we could not get over. And the Vikings are over that hump. They're finding ways to win games. And like Micah just said, a lot of parity in the NFL, a lot of close games. That's the way the NFL is. There's a lot of good players on both sides. You have to be able to win one-score games. That's what they're doing.
Like, legitimately, I think this year more than in the past decade, I think legitimately you have like 7 or 8 teams that could win it all this year.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that to try to get Minnesota in there, but I'm just saying this year
it feels wide open.
It does feel more open than ever. I mean, you watched last night on Sunday Night Football that
Chiefs and Titans,
Mahomes, they're right there. And now they're both good teams, but nobody was picking Tennessee to have a shot in that game. That everyone's like, oh, the offense is clicking, and Andy Reid off a bye, all that. And they almost pulled it out last night.
The Jets beat the Bills.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just, you just don't know. I mean, the Dolphins look good again. And it's just, there's a lot of teams throughout the. What about the Seahawks? I mean, everyone was like, the Seahawks traded everything away. This is a rebuilding year. They're starting Geno Smith, and they're 6-3. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of teams throughout the league.
49ers, scary as hell.
49ers are scary.
Woo!
I mean, I still think. I mean, watch out for Tampa Bay. I know that, I don't know. I mean, they don't look great. They shouldn't have probably won that game yesterday, but it just feels like Tom Brady always, you just can't count them out. I don't care how bad they look. I don't care what the numbers say. Like, you can never count them out. Like, you just feel like at some point they're going to win 4 or 5 in a row. Yeah. And it might have started yesterday. So there's just so many teams throughout across the landscape of the NFL that you're just like, wouldn't be surprised. It could be I know the Bills are probably still you feel like they're probably the best team top to bottom roster wise. Josh Allen can get things going. Like, that's a scary team, but you can never count out the Chiefs either. There's a lot of teams, and the Vikings have to be thrown into that conversation. They just have to be.
At this point last year, you would probably not have picked the Cincinnati Bengals to be representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, anything's going on, but with the Vikings, it doesn't matter. You're 7-1. Let's go. The next month, we'll show them something. The best part of the next month is that 3 of the 4 games are at U.S. Bank Stadium, and as of now, only one of them is a night game for obvious reasons of Kirk hates anything post 5 p.m. Can't stand it. So they have Buffalo, Minnesota at Buffalo this week. There had been some rumor or talk that game might be flexed to Sunday night because now that is getting started in the NFL. I haven't heard that yet. Then they host the Cowboys. Also had heard that game might be flexed to a Sunday night from the 3:25 start time. Then Thanksgiving night, the Vikings will host New England, which I don't want to poke at Belichick. I don't care how bad that offense is. The defense is a beast. Ask Frank Reich, cost him his job today.
Right.
Couldn't do anything. Then you have the suddenly New York Jets coming to Minnesota on December 4th. So that's 4 games in a row.
Yeah, you're going to find out a lot about this team in the next 4 games. Because like you said, that's 4 teams right in a row that are good. You can no longer say, oh, we only beat the Bears, we only beat the Cardinals, the Commanders, the Saints. Like, now you got, these are legit teams. The Bills, like I just said, one of the best teams in the NFL, if not the best. Even I know they're coming off a loss. The Patriots, you can't ever overlook. The Cowboys are playing well. The Jets just beat the Bills. So, if it's not just Vikings fans, like across the landscape of the NFL, you're going to find out about this Vikings team and can they do it against the best in the league, because that's what they have coming up.
And you go in chunks, right? So now we're through 8 games of the year. Now there's 9 left.
Yep.
So you kind of always was the 4-game chunk, right?
Yeah,
is what
broke
everyone
it down. Yep.
Right? Everyone looked at. So if you take that 4-game chunk, if you're on the team, obviously you want to go 4-0. If you're a fan looking at that schedule, 3-1 is ridiculously
phenomenal.
good.
Yeah, you take 2-2.
You would love 2-2.
Micah, would you take 2-2?
I would take 2-2, but it could be 3-1 because the NFL has a 12-day notice format, so they can't change that Vikings-Bills game to Sunday night anymore.
So you like them in the afternoon.
So that means that the Vikings have a better chance of winning because it's still that noon slot.
I don't know. After seeing Kirk dance on that plane with all those chains wrapped around his neck, his shirt is off. Like, he might be ready for prime time now. He might be. You saw that, right? Like, everyone saw that.
2 weeks in a row he's doing that, and it's like, yeah.
He's ready to go for prime time. You don't wear those chains if you're not ready for prime time. You can't.
He should put a chain on under his jersey because then he can be prime time Kirk.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming he doesn't wear a chain under his jersey. That just doesn't seem like he does it.
I don't think he owns a chain.
No.
Didn't he say that? He doesn't even own one. Those are other guys.
But for primetime games, that might have to be his ritual where he has to put one and become Kirko. Little Kirko.
On the field Kirko.
Those chains are ridiculous. I had a couple teammates with chains like that, and I remember asking them once how much it costs, and I was like, I think it was Melvin Ingram, and I was like, that costs more than my truck, right? Like, I just bought a new truck, and I thought that was a big splurge. Just like, you're wearing something around your neck that costs more than the vehicle that I drive.
And a lot of Americans' houses that they might buy.
It's like a down payment on a nice house.
Yeah, craziness. So anyway, that's where Minnesota is. It doesn't matter. You have to play whoever's on your schedule. That's just the way it rolls. You have no control over what it is. But, yeah, these next 4 games will be awfully showing. And then once you get past that, you kind of round out December with going to the Lions, and then the Colts are coming in. Obviously, they fired their head coach today, so they're kind of they're in a bad spot, to say the least.
Yes.
And so these next 4 games for the Minnesota Vikings will be very telling to see how they're going to progress if you want to put them up against who else is at the top of the other division.
Well, because, if you go, let's say they do go 2-2 in those next 4, like you just said, like you got Lions, Colts, Giants, Packers, Bears. I mean, you have to feel good about all. I know the Giants are better this year, and divisional games are always tough. I don't care what the records are. But the Packers might be playing Jordan Love at that point in the. I mean, who knows where they're going to be?
Are you calling for the benching of Aaron Rodgers?
No,
is that what you just did?
No. I'm not.
That's
calling
what you just
for
did.
It. I'm saying if they're done, if they're not making the playoffs, like you have to figure out what you have with him. Is he your guy moving forward? Rodgers is going to be 40 next year, I believe. Like his clock is ticking. So like you drafted this guy in the first round. Is he going to be your guy moving forward? He hasn't played. So do you give him a chance, even if it's just 1 or 2 games? I think you have to. So, but we'll see. I think, Rodgers might have a say in that as well. And we have the highlights on right now.
It's just so not good in Green Bay right now.
Look at this throw, though. He hits the defender in the helmet.
Now, how do you feel? Okay, so obviously Kyle Emanuel here, Chris Hansen on the Insiders. How do you feel if you had a teammate who was going off like did you have teammates like Aaron Rodgers that looked like he was yelling, like openly yelling at people on the sidelines? He might have been yelling at himself, at no one in particular, but everyone knows that he's yelling at his teammates. Yeah. He's called them out before. How do you react if you're on the team and he's doing
Well, I would assume he's yelling at himself because, look, some of these games this year you can't put it on. Like this was on him. He played down to the level of the competition, the level of his teammates, whatever you want to call it. So, he can't really call people out. Like, this was a bad game from him, so I think he was more frustrated with himself. Phillip Rivers got fired up a couple times, mostly at offense, so it wasn't, screaming at me personally. At a certain point, those guys have done so much in their career, they've earned that right. I think Tom Brady is the same way. Like, if it's a rookie quarterback chewing out linemen, that can't happen.
It doesn't look good.
When you're Aaron Rodgers, you can probably get away with it. But it just kind of goes more to the mentality and the mindset of this team right now. Is they're just reeling a little. They're just trying to find something, anything to get going in the positive direction, and they just can't. And it starts with your leader, and he's not getting it done right now either. I mean, So I saw a stat which was crazy, and it was like the last 3 years against divisional opponents, Aaron Rodgers has thrown 1 interception. 1. In 3 years against anyone in the NFC North, he threw 3 yesterday against the Lions, who was the worst statistical defense in the NFL. It's just crazy stuff. I mean, no one could have predicted what happened yesterday. I mean, you could maybe say, the Packers lose, but Aaron Rodgers throws 3 interceptions and 2 of them on the goal line. We just saw the one right there on the TV to Bakhtiari. I mean, that's got to be a completion. That's got to be a touchdown that changes the landscape of that game, and just couldn't get it done.
And I don't know where else they go from here.
I don't either.
When you talk about we got to win 3 in a row just to get back to 500, long road. Hey, look at this. Somebody getting active today on the Epic Company hotline. Jim in Fargo wants to be part of the Vikings and Bison discussion. You can be part of it too, 701-476-1660. What do you got going on today, Jim?
Not much, Chris. I haven't talked to you forever. What do you think the Bison playoff picture look like? I know they got 2 games left, but and the Vikings, I love the new coach. I think they're more outgoing, and I don't know, they play better with him than Zimmer. So
yeah,
I don't know what you think about that.
Well, let's get into both of those. Thank you very much for listening today, Jim, and appreciate it. Good to talk to you. So, first of all, let's start with, because we were just on the Vikings, let's start there, and then we'll get to the Bison and their playoff looks as those things are coming clear. Can a head coach make that much of a difference in the overall attitude and, I mean, whole staff, right? Like wholesale changes. Can a coach make that big of a difference to come in? We don't see Kirko under Zimmer, right? We probably don't see dudes holding beers
you don't
on
see
the plane.
Chains on the planes. No, yeah, absolutely a head coach. Because I always say, a head coach is, everyone thinks the head coach is like the X's and O's guys. And yes, they are, because they're gonna determine what kind of offense we run, what kind of defense, because they're going to bring in the guys to run that. But the head coach more needs to create a culture. They need to be the leader. They need to be that voice at the front of the room that changes things, that can create that positive energy. And I think you've seen that, and people have talked about this all season, is with Kevin O'Connell, is like he believes in Kirk. Fake or real, whatever. If he's faking it, he's doing a good job of it. Like, he believes in Kirk Cousins, and it's kind of created this new energy, this mentality around this Vikings team, and it's showing up on the field. And that might be one of the reasons why they're winning all these close games, because they believe in each other, coach to quarterback. And when a quarterback can kind of start anticipating what a head coach is going to call or the offensive coordinator is going to call, and you can get those players on the same page, like, that's when you start rolling as a team. And I think you're seeing that a little bit with the Vikings this year.
Yeah, obviously there is a lot of the same players, a couple of different players, but as far as, the ABC pieces, they're pretty much all the same around Minnesota.
Right. Yep.
And so then you have to start looking at what would be the thing that is different. And obviously the thing that's different is the coaching staff, the front office, which had been there for quite a while. And so it is refreshing to watch. And I don't know how much he cares about the players. It's not like you had a coach in Zimmer and his staff that didn't care about players. It's just a different way of looking at things. If it's old school, if it's new school, hey, they were right there numerous times, Minnesota was under Coach Zimmer, and just couldn't get it done for whatever reason. So I love to see it. I think it's fun to watch. I think the dude, you saw the bowling celebration out of nowhere yesterday, which, by the way, so you can just have players now come off the bench and they can just be part of the celebration too, because there was way more than 10 pins that Harrison Smith was knocking over.
Yeah, I believe you can in the NFL.
So just anybody can.
I don't know.
Do they ever throw a flag for that other than taking your helmet off?
Right.
We know you can't do that.
Can't take your helmet off. Yeah, we saw that a week ago with Carolina, and potentially cost them the game. But yeah, you can. I remember Antonio Gates broke some record. I don't remember what it was when I was playing, and Melvin Ingram sprinted off the bench. He's a defensive player, sprinted into the end zone and celebrated with him. There was no flags that came out. So I think the NFL kind of, and rightfully so, they took a look at the celebrations a couple years ago, and they're like, why are we throwing flags on some of these things? Like, unless you're, explicitly like taunting in someone's face, like, there's no reason. Like, let them do it. The fans love it. Makes for good TV.
Go nuts.
Makes for a better business.
Sure.
Everyone loves it.
But in the Super Bowl, Vernon Hargreaves got flagged for that during Bengals-Rams.
For coming off the bench.
For coming off
the
bench.
But now he was not an eligible player, correct?
Yeah, he was not dressed.
Yeah, he was not dressed. Then you might have a different issue, obviously, because then it's all about safety, we know. Right. They're very hardcore about that. So, as far as the Vikings go, the overall culture, I am digging it. I'm here for all of it. Now, as far as NDSU, to get to Jim's second point and their playoff picture, I think NDSU right now, especially with wins this weekend, SDSU winning, Sac State winning, I think both of those teams are almost a lock for 1 and 2, one or the other. You could make a case that Sac State should be number 1.
Yes, you can. They've won 3 straight top 15 matchups. So
they won their FBS game. What
dominated the FBS game. I mean, they're even at the point, I don't know, maybe a bad loss knocks them out of the top 2 seed. But with a one loss with their resume, I just think it's too good to knock him down.
Yeah. So then the question becomes: does NDSU fit into the 3 spot, the 4 spot, the 5 spot? Where does that go? Assuming 2 wins in a row. We're just going to assume 2 wins in a row. But as it sits currently, there is no logical way for them to get to number 2.
No, unless SDSU loses both. I mean, because even if SDSU is sitting there with 2 losses, one's a close loss to Iowa, they have the head-to-head against NDSU. Like you would think they would still possibly be a 2 seed, a 3 seed at worst. The road to a 2 seed is looking tougher and tougher. I thought, and I picked Sac State to lose against Idaho, and I picked them again to lose to Weber State. You just felt like can they keep this up? They haven't lost to a Big Sky school in forever. It seems like, going back to last year. But they're legit. I watched them a little bit against Idaho. That quarterback Asher O'Hara, I mean, he's a difference maker running the ball. They play 2 quarterbacks. If you haven't watched Sac State, they play 2 different quarterbacks. One's a typical pocket passer, and the other one comes in, Asher O'Hara. I mean, dude is a stud. I mean, Idaho could not tackle him. And I don't know what he averaged in that game, but it seemed like it was 8 yards a carry every time he touched the ball. And every time they ran quarterback power, quarterbacks, anything, he's legit. And I think obviously Sac State is legit as well.
Yeah, you don't just keep winning those types of games,
exactly.
Inside and outside of the Big Sky, without being a good team. And then you have SDSU, which, right or wrong, still at number 1. And boy, the way that they pulled out a victory down at UNI was quintessential Mark Farley. If you missed the game, they gave up a bunch of yards, and SDSU is going to kick what would be the game-winning field goal with 12 seconds, 2 seconds, whatever it was. It was going to be the game winner from about 30, 35 yards. They call 1 timeout. Okay, great, ice the kicker. They call a second timeout, does UNI, using both of their timeouts back-to-back. You can clearly see, if you're watching on the Panther Sports Network, they have a tight shot of the huddle on the field of talking about how can we try to block this kick. And you see Farley motioning to the sideline to bring in a guy who obviously probably has the biggest vert on the team, one of the tallest, not on the
normal block team, yep.
And he lines up right in the middle, and you can see them talking, the players beforehand, explaining to him, this is how this works. I know you've maybe never done this. And what does he do? Well, first of all, the SDSU kicker yanks it, misses left. But there is a penalty flag. Explain why that's a penalty that was called on the particular player who was brought in, not on the field goal team.
I didn't see. Did he line up over the center?
Lined up over the center and jumped over him.
Right, which you cannot do.
You can't do that.
You can't jump over him. I know in the NFL, I think you still can. You just can't make contact. And is that the same rule in college? You can jump over as long as you don't make contact?
I believe so, but you can't. Long story long, the dude went to jump up and block it and just hurtled right over the center.
Yep.
And, much like, what are you going to do? You just got off the hook. Well, we're now going to have an untimed down, and then what is the kicker?
Chance.
Kicker drills it the second time through.
Leaping is a penalty that is called on field goal attempts in football, college football. 15-yard penalty for that one.
Okay, so you can't. Like you said, he just didn't know what he didn't know. Didn't
know
what he didn't know.
Right? Why?
You used to be able to do that, and they've changed the rule. But you also can't line up over the center. That's been a rule forever.
Yeah, that you can't just go, and that happened in the Vikings game.
Yep.
That gave them the second try. They already made the first field goal with a minute 12 or whatever it was to go. Get that penalty on same kind of situation, but they just blew up the long snapper. You can't do that either. So, anyway, SDSU and Sac State, pretty secure at number 1 and number 2. The only thing then you start to get wondering about is where do they want to put the rest of the teams?
Well, exactly, and then that's going to be the interesting thing to see is do they put, if SDSU's 1, do they put NDSU 4, and then they'd meet up in the semifinals. Potentially.
They would. What?
They
wouldn't. Would they?
They shouldn't.
But they would.
They shouldn't.
But they would.
Wouldn't you rather have that game in Frisco? Not as a fan. I just mean like as across
the
big picture of FCS college football. Where would you rather have that game? I think it'd be a tremendous game, regardless wherever it lands.
Right.
But the NDSU, SUSU have played multiple times in the playoffs. Now they haven't played Brookings, but they've played multiple times in the playoffs. They have not played in Frisco.
Dana J. End of December sounds awful, like
gross,
nightmarish.
Yes. Snow, wind,
2,000
cold.
fans because the rest of them are at the basketball arena, whatever it might be. Shout out to my friends down in Brookings. So anyway, once you get past 1 and 2, it's just kind of like where they then kind of want to put you.
And now I will say this: if they end up on Sac State's side, Sac State has done it in the regular season. They've still yet to prove it in the playoffs. They've had early exits. They've been a seeded team before, and this has happened to NDSU before. 2015, I believe, the year after they left, they were a 3 seed.
Illinois State lost,
so they still got the home game. So
right, so it's not out of the possibility.
It's not out of the possibility that every game still lands in the Fargo Dome.
And I know we've said this on Bison Hotline after the games, talking about this very same topic. Was there is nobody who's like, oh, good, we get to host a semifinal game against NDSU. Nobody wants that. Nobody does. Nobody wants to see NDSU coming into their house. Nobody in the playoffs.
But they'd still rather have that than go to the Dome.
Sure that they would, but it's not like they're going to be...
It's not great.
They're not begging for that.
No.
I promise you that. All right, we're going to take our first break of the day. It's 11:28. Thanks for checking out the Insiders here with Kyle Emanuel. It's Chris Hansen in for Andy Rickoff today. And we'll dig a little deeper into the NDSU Bison win this past weekend over Western Illinois. And we'll talk to Phil Hanson, Buffalo Bills great, about the matchup against the Vikings this weekend. How does he feel about that? More as we continue on the Insiders next here on Bison 1660.
A sports talk station that Bison Nation deserves. Bison 1660.
We take great pride in really doing all the research and the work behind the scenes to make sure that our products just work.
We have our own staff member that helps pick the hybrids and the varieties that work in our area. It's meant for you, not for somebody 200 miles away.
We test our seed locally. We produce our seed locally, so we get to see our production fields, where they need to be, and if they work there.
Need seed? Think ProSeed. ProSeed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
This is Menli from Healing with Hyperbarics, and I want to talk to you today about how hyperbaric oxygen can help you if you've had radiation in the past. Radiation saves lives by killing cancer cells, but the damaging effects of radiation to the tissues continues. This leads to poor blood flow in these tissues, causing a range of problems, depending on which tissues are radiated. If you've had radiation in the past and struggle with any post-radiation injuries, book an appointment with us at Healing with Hyperbarics to see how hyperbaric oxygen can help you heal.
Rice Companies understands that strong buildings and strong communities start with strong connections. They know the importance of every bolt, every beam, and every handshake. Every connection must be strong. When you work with Rice Companies, you're building on more than concrete and steel. You're building on knowledge and expertise with people you can trust. People who value your investment as much as you do. Connect with Rice Companies, your local Butler builder, and experience the difference strong connections can make for your business. Learn more and see career opportunities at ricecompanies.com.
Hi, this is Cody Mout. After a long week of practice and a W on Saturday, I like to slide into Herd 'n Horns to see my friends, family, and teammates. Join your friends and family at Herd 'n Horns for all NDSU home and away games this season. Stop in on Sundays to watch your favorite former players and my teammates play in the NFL too. Herd 'n Horns is conveniently located on 12th Avenue North across from the NDSU campus. Your number one destination for burgers, beer, and bison is Herd 'n Horns. Go Bison.
Cardinal IG would like to shine the spotlight on their employees celebrating November anniversaries. Peter McCarr, Mustafa Muhammad, and Sean Wenger are all celebrating 5 years. Nathan Poitra, Yam Yak, and Ollie Aiden are all celebrating their first year at Cardinal IG. From the entire team, thank you. Cardinal IG offers competitive pay, outstanding benefits, and an extensive training program. To view open positions or to apply, visit CardinalFargo.com. That's CardinalFargo.com.
30 years and counting. CI Apparel, #1 in corporate, collegiate, and high school apparel. We've partnered with college bookstores and high schools to retailers to bring you high-quality game day apparel. Whether for work or play, every day is game day at CI Apparel with brands you love. Nike, Ogio, Under Armour, and the CI Sport brand. With competitive pricing and fast turnaround times, we help you work harder, play harder, and cheer harder in style. CI Apparel, 2121 43rd Street South in Fargo, and CIapparel.com.
You may not have heard, but the Insiders is now under new management.
Did you see the memo about this?
Here's Rob Hipp and Andy Rickoff.
And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo. Okay?
On Bison 1660.
Maybe you're going to look for somewhere to go watch the football game tonight, or you got some other games you're thinking about getting together to watch. Well, you got Herd & Horns. It is the, of course, NDSU-themed restaurant that is owned by NDSU alumni. Happy hour, and even more happy hour. Trivia Tuesday. Wednesday is a banger with Mug Night from 7 to close. Bingo's on Thursdays. Boy, all I think when I know it's burgers and it's beer and it's all that, but they're pizza rolls. It's maybe it's the top 5 eater in all of Fargo-Moorhead, if you've never had them.
I don't know if I have, actually. I think I have at some point. I've been there a ton.
Used to do the Insiders there, and Jurek would house an order by himself. Shocker.
As he should.
Of course, there's never a bad seat when you are watching sports at Herd & Horns, beer, burgers, Bison. Thanks for joining the Insiders today. It's Chris Hansen in for Andy. That's Kyle Emanuel, who's in for Rob Hipp. Both of them are traveling. It's crossover season, ladies and gentlemen. The season officially gets started with men's and women's basketball this week. And so here in the Theraldson Ethanol Broadcast Center, you kind of got the B and the C squad. You're the B. You're better looking former athlete. I'm C squad, just over here making terrible jokes.
Maybe C and D.
Maybe.
I told you before the show, I was like, we're like the third string catcher in baseball, and they're like, hey, go warm up in the bullpen. It's like, what are you talking about?
What?
That's not what I do.
Either that or we need you to go to the plate.
Yeah.
No,
you're pinch running.
That's even worse. But another guy who is part of the A squad is Mr. Phil Hanson. Good to talk to you again, Phil, and welcome back to the Insiders.
Hey guys, yeah, I like this time. Basketball's kind of crossing over with football, so everybody's super busy. So I guess that's a good thing.
Flights going in all different directions. Well, NDSU with a big win on Saturday, and because of that big win, one of the highlights for NDSU was the running back Tamarick Williams was named the Missouri Valley Football Conference Offensive Player of the Week. Well-deserved. 120 yards, 12 carries, 2 touchdowns, and the 56-17 win over Illinois. I know Kyle is a former defensive player, and Phil, you is another defensive player. You probably don't like seeing 56 if you're a defensive player, but boy, if you're on the winning side of it, you certainly don't mind that many points.
Yeah, no, I mean, you went into the game. I mean, the Bison were expected to win, and they did. And they started strong. I mean, first play from scrimmage is a touchdown. So, I mean, yeah, it was what was expected.
Phil, we're in the Midwest. It was windy here yesterday. I got to bring up the weather. I know it was not nice there. Give us a sense of what it was like there in Macomb. And, obviously that didn't have an effect on the game. It kind of went the way we expected to, but just give us a sense of what the weather was like and, did that affect, Western's ability to throw the ball? And obviously NDSU only had to throw it 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, NDSU's a running team anyway. And Western Illinois wasn't going to be able to stop a run. I think we pretty much knew that going in, and they didn't. So, thus, 450 yards rushing. I thought there was maybe a missed opportunity there, though. I mean, it's an outdoor game. I mean, playoffs are coming. We want to be part of the playoffs. We may not be completely in the driver's seat. So, with home playoff games. So, I thought it was kind of a missed opportunity. I thought, we threw the interception, and so everybody just shut down the passing game. I thought we should have passed a little bit more. I always think it's nice to have balance in a game. So I thought we should have just tried to work through that a little bit more. We were going to win anyway. I think it's a time to kind of test out your mettle and just receive. Zach Mathis had 1 tackle in the game and no reception. I mean, there's one of your top
stat line.
Who had that prop bet?
So, I mean, I thought they should have worked it a little bit harder, just for their own sake, not for the sake of winning the game or anything like that. Just to keep that aspect of the game sharp. Last week against Illinois State, I mean, they rocked it. I think it was 31 passes and 45 runs or something like that. I mean, that was great. That was great balance.
Yeah, and we had said after the game on the Insiders or on the Bison Hotline, talking about how they had 5 passes in more or less when either team knew that in half of the game they weren't going to be able to pass as efficiently as they'd like to. So I said, well, even if they would have doubled that number and you get to 5 per half, 6. I mean, NDSU doesn't really throw the ball normally more than 12 to 15 times per game in a game that they're going to be dominating. So. Yes, it was kind of a shutdown, but at the same time, when you're averaging that many yards per carry, it's like they could have walked up to the line and said what gap they're running through. Go ahead and try to stop it at some point.
Yeah, but I'm not looking at it the same way. I'm not looking at winning this game. I figure that's in the bank already.
Sure.
I'm thinking about bettering the team and challenging the team and putting them in situations where they may want to try this down the road. One really good thing that I really like that they did is they got a lot of new players there. I mean, that was fantastic. I mean, those are the players of the future. You're giving them meaningful reps in a game that's important. You got to win it, and if they get on film, they start learning, they start developing. There was a plethora of players that got in in the second half, and that was a fantastic thing that I thought the Bison did.
Yeah.
When you look at the other side of the ball, we're defensive guys, Phil. So let's talk about the defense. Had 4 interceptions this game. Obviously got the turnovers rolling. What did you see from the defense that you liked?
Defensive backs are a really good crew. They're all on the same page. They're veteran players back there. Defensive line is still developing. Linebackers are still developing. I like that Cop. I like it when he's in there. He got one of the interceptions, actually. But I think he's just a playmaker, Unfortunately, he's behind Kaiser, who's a really good player, too. But I just think they got to find a way to get him on the field more. He just seems to be always around the ball and always making plays.
So now that game is in the rearview mirror, one of the final 3 games of the year now down to just a pair, one on the road, one at home this weekend, heading to Southern Illinois. And Southern Illinois is an interesting team because they've done it. For a lot of these other Missouri Valley teams, they haven't beat NDSU in recent memory, right? So this is a team that has done it. Their head coach, Nick Baker, is a great coach. Their quarterback Nick Baker, the quarterback, is fantastic. And their head coach, Nick
Hill, I
Nick
believe.
Hill, there you go. So they've done it. They've been there. They've kind of know what that feels like. And the last time that Nick Baker was on the field was a disappointing 37-36 loss to Northern Iowa. But his numbers are what are eye-popping. 34 of 48 for 485 and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions on the day. And then he also, by the way, ran the ball 5 times for 22 yards as well. So Nick Baker is a stud. This will be a game where NDSU's defense, they're going to need to come up with big plays, especially those defensive backs need to stay in this game because, boy, I think we're going to see a lot of the ball all over the field Saturday.
Yeah, they're a very capable team. I know, I think we went out there, maybe that was the spring of 2021, the spring season.
Yep.
And I think that's the game we got annihilated. I mean, they had their A game. They were playing at a level we couldn't approach. I don't know how they got there, but we couldn't do anything right, and they just beat us to a pulp. Out there. So we're going back to kind of the scene of the crime. But they're very capable. They've been a little. I thought they won a couple, or they've lost a couple games they should have been in or won this year. I thought they'd have a little better record by now. At this point of the season, but
still 4.
Missouri Valley's a tough conference.
4-2 in the Valley. They've got 2 games that are left. We always talk about that number of wins. 7 games to win. 7 games usually is enough wins to get you in the playoffs.
Are they 4-2? They're 4-2.
They're 4-2 in the Valley. Yeah, they're 5-4 overall and 4-2 in the Valley.
Okay.
So
maybe that's what I saw. The 5-4. Yeah. But I know they're capable. I haven't went through the stats yet for this week, but they're capable. And it's going to be a big game. It's going to be out there. You talk about Nick Baker. I mean, Nick Hill, he's the coach. He used to be the quarterback a decade or 2 ago. I remember him when he was quarterback. So they're going to have a prolific offensive attack. And defense, our front 7 hasn't been our strong point, but our defensive backs have been really good this year. So, I think that will definitely be a matchup we'll have to keep an eye on.
Well, yeah, Southern Illinois is a team that's, and you could say this about a couple Valley teams, they're just hard to figure out because they give up like 65 in the first week and they lose their first 2 games and they go and beat Northwestern. They win like 4 or 5 in a row and you're thinking, okay, they finally figured it out. Now they've lost 2 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you just don't know what you're going to get from Southern Illinois. But obviously, like Phil is saying, they're a capable team. I want to go back to some of the stuff we've talked about, coming out of the bye, the things that NDSU needed to correct. How have you seen this team, just kind of address those issues coming out of the bye, having 2 wins in a row now with the tackling, the penalties? What would you say the state of this team is now coming out of the bye? And, what are the keys, for this next week?
I'd say developing. I mean, that tale of 2 halves or South Dakota State, I still don't know where to even put that.
Mm-hmm.
But then, they the bye week, and then they came out, and Illinois State, I think it was their best game of the year. Illinois State is a capable team. I think NDSU is still probably the favorite, but Illinois State is capable. They have won in the past, but NDSU just dominated that. The tackling was superb. The offensive balance was superb. So this is going to be, this game and UND game, I mean, we got to finish strong to get set up for the playoffs. I mean, we want as many home games as we can, and hopefully we won't have to play that Thanksgiving weekend. But all of that is right on the table the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So all that will be determined depending on how well they play.
NDSU great Phil Hansen, Buffalo Bills great Phil Hansen, joining us here on the Insiders. One of the points you made during the broadcast on Saturday was about the missed tackles. And it doesn't seem a lot. Winning big will cover up a lot of ugliness, but I really appreciate your point of, you could have got him 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he only gained 2 yards on the play, but still that's 4 free yards. If you do that time and time again against a quality opponent who you're in a dogfight with, that could be a recipe for disaster. And I really, really agreed with you on that fact of, it might not seem like a big deal, but it adds up, those missed tackles.
And it's not just NDSU. It's not just, look across NFL football. Watch it on Sunday. Look how poor the tackling is. People come in with their shoulders and they try to light somebody up. Or they grab the guy and try to go for the ball and try to make him fumble. And if they get it, great. But if they don't, he's running down the field and you can't get him, and finally got to jump on his back and he gains an extra 20 yards. I'm a huge proponent of just the first guy ensure the tackle. If the guy's still standing up, second guy come in and go for the ball. Make sure he doesn't get any more yardage. And that Illinois State game, that was fabulous. I guarantee you that the coaches demanded that the players wrap up and tackle, and it showed in the game. In this last game, they start off great tackling and they ended with great tackling. But in the middle, there was a little spurt there, I thought, where they could have done a way better job. So I hope maybe the defensive coaches were reminding them to wrap up. But in the bigger, broader sense, I mean, youth, high school, college, and pros, the tackling is horrendous at every level of football. And I think it's because, in the NFL, you see the guys going for the ball a lot. I'm actually shocked that coaches don't coach tackling better. Now, you can't practice it much in practice because you don't want to beat players up or the guys getting tackled. But it's something. It's like a lost art almost. It's so simple and so easy and so simple to talk about, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen week in and week out. Not only with NDSU. I'm talking about all over football in general at every level.
Yeah, and people are just more athletic, and I think that when you're more athletic, sometimes you rely too much on your athleticism instead of relying on your hard work. Now, obviously, you have to have hard work to get to certain levels, but yet at the same time, I think if you're so athletic, like some of that just leaves you for whatever reason of the working hard and doing the sure hard-working thing sometimes. So, I don't know, maybe that's a discussion for another
I'm going to disagree. So I'm a superior athlete, but I can't tackle. I mean, that's what you just said.
I know.
I'm a
get
great
it.
athlete, but I don't tackle. I don't do that.
Because
that's not part of my game.
The mindset would be, I'm a superior athlete. I can just run up to you and hit you and knock you over, is what I'm saying.
Okay,
instead of doing the hard work of wrapping
fundamentals.
up.
Right.
The fundamentals
Technique,
of it. Yeah, that's what I had meant.
Yeah. I think I'm more of a man, and I'm going to drop a shoulder into you, and you're going to go flying. I'm going to blow you up.
And then stand there over the top of you. And
and get a flag and get a 15-yard penalty.
The whole thing, all of it.
Yeah,
well, hey, Phil, what do you think Buffalo, Minnesota this week? What are you thinking, man?
Hey, Buffalo lost a tough one that they probably should have lost yesterday against the Jets. Yeah, Dom Izzo, I know. I've already heard from him. He's a big Jets fan. But I wouldn't want Buffalo at home after a loss with the talent they have. So,
yeah.
And you know what? No matter what, if Buffalo was 0-9, I'd pick them as well. They paid my salary for for 11 years, and they've got my vote no matter what.
I love it.
Smart man.
Yeah, exactly. Follow it, baby. Hey, Phil, great.
Hey, thanks for letting me pontificate on the tackling. I've been wanting to say that for a long time. So
because I'm right there with you that at the time it might not seem like much, but man, if you start, it's just like, a bunch of penalties. If you are giving up an extra 40, 50 yards per game and just free missed tackles.
Hidden yardage.
Hidden yardage. Yep. You're exactly right. So
I think a great stat would be charting that. How many at first contact, at first contact, not an arm tackle, but at first contact, how many extra yards did the back get after first contact? I think it'd be a great stat, both for offense, meaning they're just pounding it and driving it, and for defense. God, we gave up 80 extra yards because first contact we couldn't get the person on the ground. I think that'd be a great stat to add.
There you go. Well, let's start it up. Let's turn it into a business. Let's go. Flip this thing, make some T-shirts. Let's get it going. Hey, Phil, good to chat with you, and have a great rest of your week, and get ready for the snow in Fargo this week and out in DL area, and then get ready for a trip down to Southern Illinois this weekend.
We'll be ready.
All righty, Phil. Thank you very much. Phil Hanson joining us here on The Insiders. Kyle Emanuel and Chris Hansen are on Bison 1660.
The most complete Bison coverage in the region. Your Bison Nation station, Bison 1660.
If you're looking for a towing company that has graduated to the next level, you're looking for All Pro Towing. All Pro Towing specializes in heavy duty and light duty recovery. All Pro Towing is there for lockouts and jump starts and tire changes. Plus, they're available 24/7 for all emergencies. So when you're looking for a real pro, you need All Pro Towing. Save their number for when you need a tow. 701-541-3900.
Our Road to the Ring is brought to you by Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry. NDSU football remained in the win column this past Saturday after running over Western Illinois 56-17. 10 different backs combined for 453 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground. Kobe Johnson rushed for a 47-yard touchdown on the first play from scrimmage for the Bison. Tamarick Williams led the team with 120 yards on 12 carries and 2 touchdowns. TK Marshall logged 118 yards on just 6 carries and also had 2 touchdowns. Code Green had 4 interceptions in the game, including a pick-6 by Marquise Siegel. The Bison improved to 7-2 overall and 5-1 in Missouri Valley Football Conference play. The Road to the Ring is brought to you by Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry. They have a long history and reputation for quality workmanship and rock-solid pricing. Whether diamond engagement rings, custom jewelry, or repairs, let Brenda and the team at Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry create a legacy for you and your family. The Bison remain on the road to face the Southern Illinois Salukis this Saturday, with kickoff scheduled for 1 p.m.
Homewood Suites wants you to feel at home. This upscale extended stay brand understands that being away from home can be challenging. So Homewood Suites in North Fargo has designed their amenities to make life easier for you. At Homewood, you can relax in a variety of suites with full kitchens, complimentary hot breakfast, outdoor grills, and recreational areas that make stays more familiar. When you need to be away, but you still want to feel like home, choose Homewood Suites by Hilton. Find out more and book a stay at HomewoodSuites.com.
Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
Been a slightly chilly day in the Red River Valley with highs in the upper 30s to maybe the low 40s. Tonight we're going to dip down into the lower 30s, maybe even touching the upper 20s. A 20% chance of rain-snow mix, but tomorrow we're back into the low 50s with slightly breezy conditions. This weather update brought to you by Brady Service Center in Moorhead. Brady Service Center is your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs, and with donuts, breakfast, and lunch items daily, they're also your one-stop shop for all your road trip needs.
Chris Hoffman is the founder and owner of Bonanza Agronomy Services, an independent consultant and seed provider. Chris, during these times, why is it so important to be working with an independent agent like Bonanza Ag?
When you're an independent, you literally cry when your customer cries, and you win when your customer wins. Because my company doesn't survive without farmers, period.
Make your operation run and perform better today. Meet Chris and Bonanza Ag on Facebook or at bonanzaag.com. That's bonanzaag.com.
Take us with you wherever you go with the Bison 1660 app. Powered by Thunder Seed, first in the field. Now, back to the Insiders.
11:51 here on the Insiders. In for Andy Rickoff and Rob Hipp. It is Chris Hansen and Kyle Emanuel as basketball season is about to begin this week, officially, with games that actually count, no exhibition stuff. And if you are getting ready to make some changes in your home, Rick Electric is here for you since 1964. They have been the experts when it comes to getting projects done. I always like to say, when you want a job done right, you let the professionals do it. And I'll remember the first time that I had Rick Electric come to my house, I was going to move an outlet. I wanted to have an outlet up behind the TV, and I was sick and tired of dangling cords. And I remember like it was yesterday. I look over my shoulder as I'm sitting at the desk, and I said, "Honey, I think I can do this." She's just like, "Yeah, with the F you are." Next thing you know, I'm calling Rick Electric, and they came over. And since then, I think I've had them for 7 different projects, and they just keep getting better and better. So when you need electrical work, forget about the DIY. Just get with Rick Electric, 233-6194, or find them online at rickelectric.com. So it is, as we said, crossover season. Both men's and women's basketball gets started today, and both teams debuting brand new voices to be heard.
Yeah, that's right.
On the radio tonight. How about that? Our guy Andy Rickoff, recently given the job of being the women's basketball play-by-play voice. They are out in Montana today, taking on the Grizz. And then Rob Hipp making his NDSU men's basketball debut down at Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Regular season debut. He did get the practice with the exhibition. Sounded
regular
great.
Season debut.
But regular season debut. Top 10 matchup. Big game for us.
Ooh. Yeah, they've got a tough sandwich to try to chew down to the Bison men's team this week. They start with number 10 Arkansas the week, and then they end the week with number 5 Kansas.
The Fun J. They've done it before. In 2020 they faced back-to-back top 25 teams, Creighton and then Kansas back in 2020. That COVID season, that where the scheduling kept flexing and you didn't know who you were playing like next week. But they've done it before.
Well, yeah, and we're going to have Chuck Barrett on, right? The play-by-play voice for Arkansas men's basketball is going to come on. We get to talk about that matchup, and I love it. I know it's a tough slate, and it's going to be tough to win either one of those games. But find out where your team is. Go play the best. Go play the best and find out where your team is. And I know Coach Richmond talks about this all the time. Bring on the competition. It was written up in the old BSA, and he loves it. And I think this team will take the same mindset and just go out and do it. Just go out and play the best. Why not?
Right. Sometimes weird things happen.
You never know.
You never know. So, that is where we're at. And that's why Kyle is here and I'm in here today. Both of us kind of drug in on a little short notice here to cover in on the Insiders.
Yeah. And hopefully you're enjoying it.
I am. I mean, are you kidding me? The first hour is already done?
Yeah, it goes fast.
I hate that. I mean, I love it, but I hate it because I want it to go longer. There's so much more to say.
So much to talk about.
All right, well, the good thing is we still have an entire another hour of the Insiders, and we will talk to Chuck Barrett, radio voice of Arkansas football and men's basketball, entering his 30th season of doing play-by-play with the Razorbacks. We'll talk to him on the other side of the break. It's 11:55. Thanks for listening today to the Insiders here on Bison 1660. As the days get shorter and the temps get a little cooler, now is the time to start thinking about projects for Rick Electric in your home this fall. Hey, it's Chris Hansen. Rick Electric has been proudly providing services in the Fargo-Moorhead area since 1964. Right now's a great time to schedule your winter projects, like having a Generac whole house generator with automatic transfer switch installed, or more outlets for Christmas lights. Rick Electric, 233-6194, or go to rickelectric.com.
Want a job you love? Join a winning team. Twin Peaks Fargo is hiring all heart of house support positions, cooks, bussers, barbacks, and more. Twin Peaks offers many great incentives like free shift meals, flexible schedules, and pay starting at $20 an hour. Apply today. Just text PEAKS to 85,000 to get started. Twin Peaks eats soft drinks, scenic views.
Protect your ag equipment with a Super Slide liner from Horn Plastics. Super Slide is a plastic, non-stick, self-lubricating, and seamless liner that's eliminated haulback. Super Slide is easy to install, available in various grades, widths, and thicknesses. Going on now, you can take advantage of Horn Plastics' year-end install special. Buy one install and get the second free. That's right, buy one, get one free. Save up to $1,000 by booking your install before December 31st. For more information, visit hornplastics.com.
Here in North Dakota, we lead busy, full lives, and paying insurance premiums shouldn't be difficult or time-consuming. Nodak Insurance Company has a solution for fast, convenient premium payments for people on the go. You can pay your bill online when you go to our website or access our mobile app. It's that easy. Not a Nodak Insurance customer? We have the answer for that too. Find an agent near you or get our Nodak Insurance mobile app when you visit nodakins.com. Nodak Insurance, agents with answers.
About a month ago, we had some unexpected plumbing issues. We called Valley Service Mechanical in a panic and were pleasantly surprised with the professional that came to our rescue. He took the time to explain the issues to us, and you could really tell he enjoyed what he was doing and the pride he had representing Valley Service Mechanical.
When your heating and cooling needs help and your plumbing is on the fritz, call Valley Service Mechanical, 701-293-5701. Online at valleyservice.net.
Living in the Midwest, you need to make sure your roof is set up for all the elements. Give All Star Construction a call today to make sure your roofing system is ready for the winter ahead. All Star Construction specializes in residential and commercial roofing. Visit allstarfargo.com to request a free estimate. There's still time this fall to get your roofing system in place or get on the schedule for spring 2023. All Star Construction, your roofing experts for over 40 years.
KQWB, West Fargo, Fargo-Moorhead, and KPFX, HD3 Kindred, Bison 1660. Powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
And here's what you need to know.
The Frank Reich era in Indianapolis is done. The Colts firing their head coach as he doesn't make it through his fifth season in Indy. They have lost 3 games in a row. The Panthers activate quarterback Sam Darnold off the injured reserve. NFL Network notes Packers pass rusher Rashawn Gary tore his ACL yesterday in Sunday's loss to the Lions, so his season is done prematurely. Green Bay running back Aaron Jones should be able to practice this week after x-rays on his ankle came back negative. Giant safety Xavier McKinney will be away from the field for a few weeks after breaking his hand while riding an ATV during the bye week in Cabo. NFL Network says Bills defensive end Gregory Rousseau is pegged as week to week after he sprained his ankle yesterday against the Jets. And Fox Sports Radio's Dan Patrick says San Diego State will be joining the Pac-12, and an announcement will come this week. I'm Brian Fenley.
You've got the Insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
The Insiders. Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proseed. Need seed? Think Proseed. Now, here are the Insiders.
Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders. The Insiders.
Chris Hansen and Bison great Kyle Emanuel.
Thanks for joining us over your lunch hour today. It is the Insiders as Andy Rickoff traveling with women's basketball, Rob Hipp traveling with men's basketball. So there you go, Kyle Emanuel and Chris Hansen. Number 51, is that still your identifiable number, right? It's 51, right? Like that's
53 at NDSU.
53 at NDSU, 51 of the pros.
Chargers. Either or.
Doesn't matter.
I'm good with either.
If you had just had to pick one number to be associated with you, which would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. Probably 53. Probably 53. I had it for 5 years at NDSU. And it was interesting, not to get off on too much of a tangent,
You're
but
fine.
The only reason I got it is because I came in as a linebacker. I didn't come in as a D. That was a linebacker number. Brian Gordon, our old equipment manager, he was like, I'm an NFL style guy. Remember the NFL before they changed the rule? Like, if you were a certain position, you had to be within a certain range of numbers. So that's what he did. So that's how I got 53. And then I switched positions, and then now 53 is kind of a defensive end number.
What number would you have picked? Like what?
I would have picked 35 because that was my high school number.
Ah, okay. All right.
But they wouldn't let me.
Well,
that was in the Christian Dudds.
C-Dud had this. Yeah, this.
You know, he wanted like 4, I think, because he was 4 in high school. Everyone's their high school number, right? So.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, there's a quick story on how I became 53.
Love it. Well, anyway, Bison great, Kyle Emanuel. Someday to be Bison Hall of Famer, Kyle Emanuel.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of guys.
I'd be willing to take a long time.
That's another discussion, but there's a lot of guys that I played with and a lot of guys since that are deserving. So,
how many of them won the Buchanan? I think that gives you a tad bit. I hate to say it, Kyle, and I know you're a humble guy. I hate to say it, but that might give you,
We'll see.
Let's just say, if we're doing blind resumes. Anyway. All right. We are live today in the Theraldson Ethanol broadcast studio. Theraldson Ethanol has recently partnered with GPRE Inc. to build GP Turnkey Theraldson LLC. GP Turnkey will produce high-protein animal feed. So just another thing that they are up to. And, of course, they're always hiring people. If you're interested in a new career, HR@TheraldsonEthanol.com. But the Theraldson Ethanol Broadcast Center today, I have it covered with papers. You can tell I'm the oldest one, which is sad. I'm the oldest one. I have to have paper from here to there. I love my paper. I can't just go straight digital.
I think Rob's the same way.
Is he the same way? Yeah, okay. And I think I'm older I think I take seniority over all of the people. That's terrible. I'm only 32. Come on. Wish. I wish.
You had me convinced.
Oh,
but I'm 31, so that would make you only a year older than me.
I'm a 46, but I play a very middle 30.
Yeah,
on
for
radio.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Let's get to our next guest here on the Epic Companies hotline. He has been involved with Arkansas sports, entering now his 30th season broadcasting Arkansas sports. A 3-time Arkansas Sportcaster of the Year. See, now, if you have that on your resume, again, that gives you a leg up over somebody else, Kyle Emanuel. He is Chuck Barrett. Chuck, welcome to the Insiders.
Guys, thank you for having us. Quite an introduction. Thank you.
First time, we have to ask, is this your first time on Bison 1660 and on the Insiders?
I believe it is, yes. I don't think I can recall another time.
Well, then you get the ceremonial gong. Every time someone comes on, you get the gong. And so welcome to a fun, wide-open show today because, when you're doing somebody else's job, it doesn't really matter how you do because they're just glad you're there to do it. And
that's
so
right.
that's where I and Kyle Emanuel are at today. But let's get into this Razorback team. Now, I know last year was last year, and the year before that was the year before that. But Arkansas coming off their second straight Elite 8 performance, and they're going to have to kind of get some success this year with a bunch of new faces. That's really the story around Arkansas basketball on the men's side.
Well, it is. I mean, you've got 11 new players, and you've only got 2 players back from last year's team. Now, they've signed a good class. It's the best class Arkansas has ever signed. So there's a lot of expectation. There's a roster filled with players who think they're going to go to the NBA, and some of them will. But you only play with one ball, and it's going to take a little while to get all this stuff together. And they've got 3 games before they go to Maui, and, the schedule is pretty difficult early on. It's not a simple opener tonight. So when you've got a new team, you're trying to get all the pieces together and figure out exactly what you've got.
Chuck, I know one of the guys that, we were just doing a little research that we saw. You talked about the 11 new guys was Nick Smith, a highly touted recruit, and someone I think that, Razorback fans are excited about. Talk about him. And then the other thing, when you talk about 11 new guys, is chemistry a concern here early on in this season?
Well, I think chemistry is always something that you have to develop. I think that's something that develops as you go along, and that's going to be, something that they have to have if they're going to be, if they're going to be really good after the first of the year. Nick Smith's quite a player. I mean, he's as heralded of players we've had, and he's not the only one who's really good, but he's the one that's gotten the bulk of the attention, and he's probably going to be a one-and-done guy. All eyes are going to be on him. He seems to be the type player that embraces that. Some guys have a swagger. Some guys want the lights to come on, and I think he's one of those guys. And so he's going to be the best player on the floor, generally speaking. But, again, there's one ball, and they're going to have to develop a lot of the things that you have to develop to be good. But he's their best player. There's no doubt about that.
This is Chuck Barrett. He is the play-by-play voice for Arkansas football and men's basketball, and the NDSU will be down there. 7 o'clock tip-off tonight. Of course, you can listen to the game right here on our properties, including 107.9 The Fox. This is the 100th season of Arkansas basketball that tips off tonight at Bud Walton Arena. Coach Dave Richmond and NDSU comes there now for the second time in the program history. First time was back in 2016, a 71-55 loss. This is Coach Eric Musselman's fourth year of the Hogs. I want to go back kind of in the time machine because me growing up in the upper Midwest as a basketball fan, it was a very big deal when the Minnesota Timberwolves became a thing. And Eric's dad was the first coach, Bill Musselman. And so that was my first foray, really. Like, I had watched Larry and Magic and all, did all that. But now this was like a team that was right here in our backyard. It's so amazing. And it's even more unbelievable to me that now Eric is almost to the age of where his dad was when his dad unfortunately passed away back in the year 2000. That Eric, the head coach at Arkansas, is 57 and his dad was 59. And the two of them, when I watch some of the stuff on Eric today, he looks like his dad. He sounds like his dad. The coaching apple didn't fall very far from the Musselman tree there.
No, and I mean, Eric will tell you his dad was his idol. I mean, he was his basketball idol. And I'm sure, I did not know Bill Musselman, but I've heard lots of stories about him, as you can imagine. I think his son quotes him a lot. In fact, I know he does, because he'll preface a lot of the things he says with "my dad used to say." So, no, I understand Bill Musselman was a pretty intense guy, and I can tell you his son is too. And he's a basketball lifer. I mean, he's a 24/7 basketball guy. I've never seen a guy make $4 or $5 million a year and wear gym shorts and a T-shirt every day. But that's basically what Eric is. I mean, he's a basketball junkie, a gym rat. He lives it 24/7, and I mean, he's a very intense coach. There's no doubt about that. He got teed up in an exhibition game, so I mean, that tells you a lot about it.
It's running hot.
Chuck,
yeah, he runs hot, no doubt.
Chuck, I wanted to ask you about this matchup tonight. Obviously, you've done this a long time. You've seen a lot of basketball throughout your years. What is a key, and I know it's probably not one thing, but what is it that a mid-major team has to do to score an upset? And specifically for NDSU and our fans listening, what is it that NDSU has to do tonight to score the big upset?
Well, the first thing you've got to do is make baskets. I mean, you got to shoot well. If you're going to pull off an upset, there's no substitute for making shots. And I think, frankly, that's one of the concerns for Arkansas tonight is, North Dakota State's ability to shoot beyond the three-point line. I think that's something that is going to be a point of emphasis tonight for Arkansas, is defending that line. You can't have turnovers, and you got to force some. I'm sure it would benefit North Dakota State for Arkansas to have some growing pains and turn it over and make some mistakes. And, I've heard that term anatomy of an upset, and, turnovers by the other team certainly part of it. But in basketball, you got to make shots. And, if you're going to come into somebody else's arena, any team, not just this game tonight, but any team, there's no substitute for making shots.
Yeah, the basket filling up is usually the way to do it. And it's always these non-conference games that you see from mid-majors and, ranked teams especially, is that this time of the season is way different from when we're talking about March. I mean, it's not even the same animal, right? Like, these teams don't know what each team is going to be as of yet. Like you said, the only way to build chemistry is by playing together. And so that's why I don't think you don't traditionally see a lot of upsets this time of year, unless you get in, some other tournaments that are far away from each other's campuses on neutral sites. But NDSU is definitely going to have its hand full. If this would be a win, this would be the biggest win on NDSU's basketball team since you have to go back a ways, since 2006, when NDSU upset number 8 Marquette back in 2006 in a non-conference game. So not saying it's not possible, but boy, they're going to have their hands full tonight. And Chuck, I also want to you mentioned the exhibition game. This is the exact quote, because if you don't know, okay, what's going on? This was the exact quote, and I'll tell you why this quote came out. Coach Eric Musselman, on his team's play in the exhibition game earlier last week, "We played as bad as any 40 minutes of basketball I've been involved in college basketball." That was the direct quote from the head coach about the Arkansas Razorbacks and their performance in a 30-point loss at Texas in Austin. What was that all about in the exhibition game?
Well, I didn't see it. I was with our football team that day. It was not on television, and so I don't know how many people have seen it. They played 2 exhibition games. They won one big at home and then went down there and got run out of the gym. It's an exhibition game. That's the thing that I would say. We'll have to see if it carries over. But I do think what they went through that night, that day, was a lot of what teams with 11 new players go through. They turned the ball over a lot, and they didn't play good team defense. And Texas got a lot of open shots, from what I'm told. And so, those are things that, fortunately, you did them in a game that doesn't count on your record. But it stuck with them. Just for the record, Musk got teed up in the wind. He didn't get teed up in the lawn. It was evidently a bad day. As I say, I didn't see it, but it was evidently a bad day.
Well, in the month of November, Coach Eric Musselman is 15-0 in his career in the month of November, so that's getting started right. And you mentioned you were away with football because obviously here Chuck does Arkansas Razorback football. Tough loss last weekend at home versus Liberty, but you got a real big beast coming in this weekend with the LSU Tigers coming off a one for the ages game against Alabama on Saturday night.
Yeah, you kind of hope if you're an Arkansas person that LSU spends the week hearing about how great they are.
There you
Maybe
go.
They have a little bit of a letdown. We'll just kind of see how it goes. It was a disappointing loss Saturday. It really was. But, we're still on the right trajectory, but that's a game that people expected to win. And so when you don't win a game like that, you guys know how it is. The natives get restless, and they're restless today, and hopefully they'll come back and play well Saturday.
Chuck, talking about football, and I want to keep it there in the SEC, because one of the things I'm hearing today, and I just wanted to get your thoughts, and I know it's not your team, but people are saying that Nick Saban is getting out-coached, and he's been out-coached multiple times. Paul Feinbaum was saying this. He's been out-coached at least 4 times this year. Is there concern down there in Alabama country, and is it possible that Nick Saban, the greatest of all time, is getting out-coached?
Well, I'm not sure about getting out-coached. I think that's one of those blanket statements that can mean a lot of different things. I mean, he's lost a couple of games this year. I do think there are some chinks that are beginning to show in the armor, so to speak. And, nothing lasts forever. And even the legends, it always runs out at the end, even for the legends. And Saban's still the best that ever lived, and it's still a program that anybody would trade places with in a heartbeat. I would not say he's been getting out coached. No, I would say though that when you look at some of Alabama's personnel, they're not quite as strong in some of the spots as they've been. And in our league right now, Georgia's king. I mean, they are, and it's been Alabama for a long time, but Georgia's the best team in our league right now by far.
And I know there's only a couple of weeks left of the season, but it seems like there is a lot left to be played in college football. Getting into between now and a month from now, there's going to be a lot of different things that are going to be transpiring in all these different leagues. So,
there's no doubt about it. It's going to be fun.
Chuck, it was a pleasure having you for the first time ever on Bison 1660. We appreciate it. I know you also do a radio show down there in Fayetteville, so thank you for taking some extra time during your day to include little old us up here at Bison 1660.
Happy to do it, guys. I appreciate you having me.
All right, NDSU and Rob Hipp down in Fayetteville tonight, and head coach Dave Richmond ranks 3rd in NDSU men's basketball winning history, 159 career wins. Overall record is 159-97, the second highest winning percentage of any Bison head coach since 1925. And they will have their work cut out for them tonight. And every time you look at anything Arkansas Razorback basketball, the name you will see that you brought up, Nick Smith Jr. Nick Smith Jr. He is number 3. If you're watching the game tonight, I think you got to have an SEC network kind of situation. But if you're listening to it, I'm probably guessing you're going to hear a lot of number 3 Nick Smith Jr. tonight out of North Little Rock High School.
Right in the backyard. Right in Arkansas.
Right.
Homegrown. Don't have to travel far.
I think it's going to be a fun game. I mean, regardless of the outcome, I think it. Like we just heard Chuck talk about, like there's a ton of talent on the Arkansas team, but they haven't played a lot together. They obviously had the hiccup against Tech. It's an exhibition game. I get all that, but it's still a game. You're still out there. You're still competing. How quickly can they put it together? We've seen you can look across a lot of basketball, and you've seen really talented teams that always gel right away. Can NDSU take advantage of it? Obviously, we all hope so, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. Game now tonight, 7 o'clock tip-off. And if you want to listen again, 107.9 The Fox, check that out on the air or on the app. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I think Mark in America is going to be chiming back in. We haven't heard from Mark. I think we missed him during Bison Hotline on Saturday. There wasn't much to talk about in a 50-point,
But did the icon call in?
And no icon.
What?
I know.
Okay, that something
again,
something was going on.
Not a whole lot to talk about.
But the icon always calls in.
Well, he always finds. They'll find something.
Yeah, exactly. There's something to point to.
Yeah.
Good or bad,
Well, we'll take whatever Mark has to say, I think, coming up next. It's 12:16. Thanks for joining us today here on Bison 1660. Kyle Emanuel, Chris Hansen are on the Insiders.
Champions play here. Your home for the Thundering Herd. Bison 1660.
Every fan loves an explosive play on the field when someone breaks free and takes it to the house. Take that feeling anywhere with the explosive taste of Bud Light Seltzer, the official hard seltzer of the NDSU Bison. Bud Light Seltzer is always the right call for game day. The bold flavor of the hard soda variety pack and the all-new seasonal apple slices flavors will definitely score points with your team in the tailgate zone or inside the Fargo Dome. Bud Light Seltzer, the official hard seltzer of the NDSU Bison. Please drink responsibly, never drink and drive.
Dakota Refrigeration has been helping the Bison succeed behind the scenes. From their training room to their dining room, from milk to medicine, from ice to ice cream, Dakota Refrigeration has been serving Minnesota, Montana, and the Dakotas for over 4 decades. Locally owned and operated since 1974, Dakota Refrigeration is a full-service source for your refrigeration, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and electrical needs. Dakota Refrigeration, located in Fargo, Bismarck, and Minot.
Jeremy here at Horsch in Mapleton. Did you know that Horsch manufactures premier planting, seeding, and tillage solutions right here in the FM area? We are proud to be a family-owned business based out of Germany and would love for you to join our team right here in Mapleton. We offer competitive pay, full benefits, and paid family time from Christmas to New Year's. Please visit Horsch.com to view our current openings.
Your brilliant proposal starts with Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry, your source for mined and certified lab-grown diamonds. Looking to create a custom engagement ring? Our team of jewelry experts will help you create that perfect ring, mesmerizing her, creating an heirloom to be cherished for a lifetime. Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry, 3241 42nd Street South, Fargo. Online at schmittsjewelry.com.
Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry.
The Bison Hotline post-game show is broadcasting live this year from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo. Come see the Bison 1660 crew live after every NDSU football game and register to win prizes including Bison 1660 t-shirts, tickets to upcoming games, and a whole lot more. Plus, take advantage of the great food and drink specials at Applebee's. Bison Hotline broadcasting live after every NDSU football game from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo, right across from the Fargo Dome. Horns up.
Truck headquarters. Gateway Chevrolet has new Chevy trucks arriving daily. Buy your new Chevy Silverado at Invoice. Yes, Invoice pricing on new Silverados with a fresh look, new interiors, and larger screens with easy-to-use technology. Save thousands on new Chevy Silverados with 4 different motors available. Dynamic fuel management, Bluetooth, backup camera, Apple CarPlay, and more. Save thousands and enjoy the smooth ride in your new Chevy Silverado from Gateway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
The place you go for all your Bison news first. You've got the Insiders right here on Bison 1660.
12:20. It's the Insiders junior varsity version. Chris Hansen along with Kyle Emanuel. Micah Bindy's back there making us look good today. And, of course, we are broadcasting from the Theraldson Ethanol broadcast studio. Theraldson Ethanol produces 175 million gallons of ethanol per year and roughly 400 tons of livestock feed per year. Again, they're online at theraldsonethanol.com. And we also want to talk to you about Hoffman Trucking If you're tough enough to drive yellow, they want to talk to you at Hoffman Trucking. You can find them online, hoffmantrucking.com. That's HOFMANN trucking.com. They're a Jamestown-based distribution company, and they have openings, and they'd like to talk to you. If you're looking for local, regional, over-the-road, or oil field work, let's have a chat. Drivers got to be 18 months. Have at least 18 months Class A driving experience. If you are interested in working with a great company, one call to a recruiter or visiting their website can make it happen for you. If you want to turn wrenches, they also have mechanic positions open too. If you're not interested in getting behind the wheel, call them at 701-252-7220 or head on over to hoffmantrucking.com. Again, that's HOFMANN trucking.com. for Hoffman Trucking. All right, now we'll get to Mark in America. He's been patiently waiting. And so, Mark, thank you very much for calling. Where do we find you this Monday afternoon?
With the skyline of Chicago in my rearview mirror, actually headed towards Minnesota.
Oh, okay. Very good. What do you got behind you today?
A 24-foot car hauler, delivering it to the customer up by Lake Mille Lacs.
Okay. Excellent. It's always fun to talk to you whenever, sometimes to be like, I don't know what's back there. I just picked it up and whatever. You're supposed to legally, aren't you, know what's always back there?
Yes.
Yeah. Just goes to
because I'm responsible for it as long as it's on my bumper.
Goes to show some of the people that I know that don't really pay too close attention. Anyway, Mark, what do you want to chat about today?
Well, first off, I know you missed me on Saturdays, apparently. I kind of felt like Phil Hansen did. And I think he said it, we're up 56-17, but I just don't feel great about it. And it's the tackling, which I love that Phil finally got that off his chest. It's the 15-yard penalties. It's the little things, and that's my thought on that as to why I didn't call in Saturday. But I was calling in earlier to ask your guys' thoughts on who you think the top 8 are. And one thing with the committee, and I remember them saying this in previous years, it doesn't matter. They're not going to utilize regionalization. So in other words, if the Rabbits are 4, the Rabbits are 1, we're automatically 4. We could be 3. If Sac State's 1, we could be 4, and it's all going to depend on the resumes. But I'm kind of surprised. I think Holy Cross could end up being a 6, maybe, because they've got that FBS win. Just want to get you guys' thoughts on who you think the top 8 seeds are going to be and what kind of order.
All right. Well, there you go. Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate that. On the first part of that about Phil Hansen and the tackling, I want to ask you, Kyle, because you obviously have been in there. You've been involved in games that are boat race. I think is a little lopsided boat race. Is there something to losing your concentration as to what's going on when you know that this other team has no hope?
Yeah, I think as a team.
General, you know what I mean? Like not caring, not trying, but I'm saying, if I miss a tackle, big deal. Like we're going to crush these guys.
Yeah, you might get a little more risky. You might take a move that maybe you should play. Maybe you don't play within the defense as well as you should have at times. For me personally, I didn't really care. I always prided myself on playing the same way regardless. Okay. Right? Coach Bull used to say that all the time is, let's go out there, play hard. At the end of the game, we'll look up at the scoreboard and see how we did. Meaning, who cares what the score is? Who cares what the situation is? Like, you should be the same guy at all times. So, like, for me, it's just my motivation was always there's someone across the line of scrimmage for me. They want to beat me, and I want to beat them. And that's all the motivation you should really need. But, yes, there is things get a little more lackadaisical a little bit on the sideline, and you're up by that much, and it happens. It happens, right. And I, in all honesty, I didn't even watch at the end of the game because I knew it was like NDSU can just run the ball wherever they want, and so I didn't see some of those mistakes late in the game. But yes, it happens in a game like that. And as far as like throwing the ball, I understand Phil's point. I do try and get better at something in a game where you already know you're going to win. given the conditions, and that's why I asked him about it, are you really working on something at that point when there's a 30-mile-an-hour wind constant? So I can see both sides of it.
Well, because one of the things, what did we just say half hour ago? Like a playoff game at the end of December in Brookings sounds about as bad as anything ever could.
Yep.
Well, you might be facing that kind of a day. The stadium runs north and south. You might have a strong north wind that day.
Might blowing have to deal with it.
Right? And so then I get that if you want to practice
you
it.
You can get plenty of that practice in Fargo. Look at the wind yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go practice outside and throw it in the wind pretty much every other day in Fargo. So,
right.
I mean, I know it's not the same as a game. So, yeah, there's going to be little things, but I thought, that had to have been, and I wasn't there, but that had to have been a tough situation to play in. The weather is crap. There's no one in the stands. You're expected to beat this. They're 0-8. You have to still feel good about it. I mean, it wasn't like it was a 2-touchdown victory. I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. So you still have to feel good about what you did, going down to Macomb and coming away with a victory that you should have in a dominant fashion.
Yeah. Wide receivers, that's the most boring game that they probably are ever going to play. I mean, defensive backs will still get involved, but also, right, that's a great opportunity if you are a wide receiver and you know we're going to be running the ball a lot. You can
blocking. Yep.
Exactly. You will get pointed out if you are not doing your job and you're kind of over there mentally checking out and you miss a block that could have sprung.
The sky doesn't lie. They're still filming those. I don't care what the score is. If film is still on, you'll still go over that.
You're going to find the warts.
Yes.
They'll keep looking.
That's right.
They'll look in places that are dark normally.
Yep, that's right.
Find them warts. And then the other thing about the field, I don't know. I've always looked at it this way. Outside of 1 and 2, they're going to do whatever they want.
Yep.
There's only so much they can do with the auto bids and then the seeds after 1 and 2 with records that, yes, if you have 3 losses against a 2-loss team, you can make that argument. But when you have a bunch of teams that are very close, you have no idea what they might do.
None. And there's still so much. I know there's only 2 weeks left, but there's still so much that could shake out, especially in that bottom 8. I don't even usually look at that normally because NDSU is not even close to there.
Right.
This year, we're concentrated on the 1 and 2. Can they get to a 2 seed? We just talked about that earlier in the show. Going to be tough. Who do they throw in there in the top 8? Like you said, it's anyone's guess at this point. I mean, obviously, you're going to have NDSU, Montana State, Sac State, SDSU. Mark mentioned Holy Cross. They're undefeated at 9-0. William and Mary is 8-1. Weber State could still get in there. They're 7-2. I mean, just who knows where they're going to fall with those top 8 seeds. But yeah, like he said, I personally hope NDSU and SDSU are on opposite sides. Selfishly, that's how I hope. I would rather them meet in Frisco. Why
Championship game there, yeah. I would tend to agree, even though I never want Little Brother to even.
Well, I don't want them to make it there either.
Right,
but if they're going to, let's play them.
It'd be sweeter to exact revenge.
Bring on the competition
on the highest level, wouldn't it? That would be fun. All right, he is waiting very patiently. When we come back, we're going to check in with Rob Hipp down in Arkansas. Thank you, Rob, for holding on. I know you've been on the hold for like 10 minutes now, Rob. But we're going to check into him, talk about a little bit more NDSU men's basketball as we continue here on The Insiders. Kyle Emanuel and Chris Hansen are on Bison 1660.
Champions play here.
You're vice president material. You're vice president material.
Bison 1660.
Proceed Experience is the people that we're working with, the hands-on. We're not a super large company, but we're a hands-on dealing with customers. I know most of these fields because of the time I've been covering this area. In many cases, I've covered with up to the 3rd generation of operators on the farm, from grandpa down to the son that's being handed over to now, and we build our business on service. You take care of the customer and they take care of you.
Need seed? Think Proseed. Proseed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
Talking about your farm finances shouldn't be intimidating. This is Scott Zlondik with Cornerstone Bank. We're a locally owned and managed community bank. We know the ins and outs of ag banking, and more importantly, we know what it means to be there for our customers. Find the right person to talk to you about your finances, someone you feel comfortable with, someone you trust for the advice and direction you need. Come to Cornerstone Bank.
Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The Bison Hotline post-game show is broadcasting live this year from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo. Come see the Bison 1660 crew live after every NDSU football game and register to win prizes including Bison 1660 t-shirts, tickets to upcoming games, and a whole lot more. Plus, take advantage of the great food and drink specials at Applebee's. Bison Hotline, broadcasting live after every NDSU football game from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo, right across from the Fargo Dome. Horns up.
Bourbon lovers are a distinctive group, embracing the differences from other spirits, all while expecting the rich variation of a good whiskey. That's why the Fistful of Bourbon folks, who have over 100 years of whiskey blending experience, are born to serve to those lovers of good bourbon, creating the masterpiece of blending 5 distinct bourbon whiskeys, sweet, balanced, and floral, with notes of cinnamon and licorice and buttery toffee. Fistful of Bourbon delivers a smooth, rich, full-fisted flavor like all top-shelf bourbon whiskeys should. See it all at fistfulofbourbon.com. Please consume Fistful of Bourbon responsibly.
Location, location, location. If you are a business owner looking for your next commercial space, Epic Companies has the best options for you. Whether you are looking for 1,000 square feet of commercial space or 50,000, Epic Companies has what you're looking for. We have properties in West Fargo, South Fargo, downtown Fargo, and Moorhead. Move-in incentives are currently available for a number of our properties and can be discussed with Zach, our Director of Realty. Visit EpicCompaniesND.com for more information. That's EpicCompaniesND.com.
Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
Partly sunny conditions to start off your week, and a high that's going to creep into the upper 30s, maybe even into the low 40s. Tonight we're going to dip down into the lower 30s, and there is a 20% chance of some precipitation, which means it could be in the form of rain or snow. This weather update brought to you by Brady Service Center in Moorhead. Brady Service Center is your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs, and with donuts, breakfast, and lunch items daily, they're also your one-stop shop for all your road trip needs.
Gearing up for another season of Bison football? We've got you covered each and every day on the Insiders on Bison 1660.
Welcome back to the Insiders. It's 12:32. Andy Rickoff is traveling in Montana with women's basketball, and Rob Hipp is in Fayetteville, Arkansas for men's basketball. Both those teams getting started with tips tonight. That's why you got Kyle Emanuel and Chris Hansen in for the Insiders today. You could call us kind of the Insiders. Like, I know where the inside is. Like, if I had to get there, I know how to get in there.
We're close.
Yeah. But, without being we're like insider in-laws, kind of. We're on the outside of the family, ready to get in whenever we can.
Good way to put it.
Probably not, but I'm trying.
But we got one of the Insiders on the line.
That's true. Rob Hipp, I guess maybe having a lunch break and calling into the Insiders on his own show. What's going on, Rob?
Hey, guys. I just wanted to say hello. And, yeah, man, the ultimate insider is Phil Hansen. He's got that classic radio call that you hear sometimes on the intro. Get in there. That's the ultimate Insiders right there, man. So, but, hey, good to talk to you guys. Yeah, just on a little bit of a break here, and I've been listening back and forth throughout in the middle of prep work, traveling with the team. How about this little stat real quick? 66 degrees in Fayetteville. So I'll try to bring back some of that with me, but I don't think that's going to happen.
That sounds pie in the sky, but no, that's not happening. That's the exact opposite of what we're going to have here by the end of the week. Robin, getting ready for this game, when we talked to their play-by-play, Chuck Barrett, he had talked about, this is a team that is essentially brand new. 2 players who had any meaningful minutes last year is all they have back. Other than that, everybody's new at Arkansas this year.
Yeah, and I know you guys have already talked about it, and I'm sure Chuck's talked about it too, but we'll have our eyes on Nick Smith Jr. He's the 6'5" freshman guard. Look, the D1 Player of the Year watch list, number 2 national recruiting rankings, and Sports Illustrated list that they put out of 99. He's on top of that list in 247 Sports. This kid has got so many accolades. We could literally talk for 45 minutes just reading through all that he does just as a freshman. So, quite a few NBA prospects on this team, and Anthony Black is another one that if he gets some time today, he's a freshman. Look for him. So it's going to be a good matchup. It's a good litmus test for our team, and I like the idea, guys, of going up against top talent teams right out of the gate. I don't want to see a game against an NAIA school or a JUCO or a D3. Not to put down any of those guys, but let's go up against the best and see what we can do. And so we've got a handful of new guys on our team, 8 new guys to be exact. I'm really excited about these kiddos, and say kiddos, heck, they're young men. Luke Yoder's going to be one that I'm going to really keep an eye on this year as well as Tajavis Miller. We've talked a lot about him. I mean, Javis is maybe one of the highest recruits that NDSU has ever had. So, yeah, it's going to be fun tonight here in Arkansas, man. What a great way to get basketball season started, going up against number 10 in the nation.
And then Friday, trip up a little bit further north there into Kansas to take on the Jayhawks on Friday night, the number 5 team in the country. Talk about getting going with a couple of blue bloods here.
Yeah, it's going to be good as well. Heading back over to the field house, I think it's going to be an exciting matchup for both programs. Again, it's early in the season, seeing who can. Again, that litmus test. I keep talking about it, man. I'm just eager to see what we're going to take away from these two games. We flew in here to Fayetteville. We're going to actually bus over from Fayetteville there to Lawrence. We'll stay tonight, get up in the morning, have breakfast, and then we'll head over to Lawrence by bus. And so this week is kind of scheduled up to where there's a lot of prep time for our guys. And one thing and the reason I wanted to call in, you talk about so many new faces on a team. I've already started to get to know these guys quite a bit, Chris and Kyle. And one thing that I really, really like and that I've noticed right away is this team chemistry is absolutely here. These guys are all getting along. I think you got to have fun in the game too, and just seeing them out there on the practice. Coach Richmond runs a tight ship, but these guys also have fun, and I just love seeing that. We went out to eat last night. Everybody was talking to everybody. Everybody was patting each other on the back. It's just a really unique situation, in my opinion, and maybe one of the best team chemistries that this squad has had in quite some time.
Rob, so you've got to see NDSU obviously in an exhibition game. We talked about Arkansas. Let's talk about NDSU. What kind of style of play did you see early on? I know it was an exhibition game, but still, what did you see from them? And, what can we expect moving forward from this Bison basketball team?
I think, again, Kyle, a good question. I think, again, just kind of going back to the new guys, just seeing a lot of excitement. I talked a lot about Luke Yoder, and he comes from a Division III college there out of Illinois Wesleyan, and this young man has got a lot of talent. I think coming in, he's a junior. He's not a young guy. He's not a freshman, but he transferred in from D3, and he's already shown a lot of leadership capability. Had a solid performance just a few nights ago in that exhibition game last week. And then, as I keep mentioning to Javis Miller, man, that kid can shoot some threes. So I think if our team this year, I think look for a lot from around the perimeter, from behind the arc. But I think too, I don't want to leave out. I don't like naming guys individually, but you have to sometimes when you're describing what's going on. But Andrew Morgan put on a few pounds. Kind of the consensus this year early on is that he's gotten a little nasty, got a little mean, and you've got to have that a little nasty and meanness to you on the basketball court. I'm not talking about in a bad way. I'm talking about in a good way to get your team fired up. So Andrew Morgan coming back, looking solid, and then last but certainly not least, you got to talk about Grant Nelson as a junior here. Just averaged under 12 points a game last season. I expect that to be a lot more this year. This is just a young man that's going to be really, really good down in the post. Andrew Morgan's right there with him. So we got two guys that can play. And one other thing about Andrew Morgan, he can shoot the three. He doesn't take a lot of them, but when he does, he makes them. Seen him in practice, saw him the other night, hit one against Minnesota Crookston. So it's an exciting team, man. I encourage Bison Nation, if you haven't made it out to a Bison basketball game, come out. I know it's cold outside. Things are going to get really cold, but, it's always warm in the Shield Center. So come on out and support these guys on the home games for sure.
Couldn't agree more on both the men's and the women's side. Get out and get your kids involved with it. I know my kids have gotten more. My youngest daughter has gotten more into sports, and it is directly because she loves going to go watch football games, basketball games, volleyball games. We've been to all of them, softball games too. So get them experienced into that and have some fun. Go see some great action. Well, Rob, good luck tonight on your first official call of a regular season game of NDSU Hoops tonight, bud.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Hey, a while ago, Chris, too, you said something about y'all being the JV team. Well, if you're the JV team, I'm kind of the Pop Warner team. I've still got some game that I've got to improve. So thank you guys very much. Appreciate y'all, man.
You bet. Rob, thank you, buddy. As long as Rob is here on a daily basis, he is the varsity squad.
That's right.
I mean,
he's got the voice of the Bison tag.
I know, yeah.
Game, set, match right there.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Rob. Again, 7 o'clock, you can catch that game. We'll have some pregame before that on 107.9 The Fox, and the women playing here on Bison 1660 tonight. Is correct?
Yep, we got
right.
two games tonight, so lots of busy action.
Is that run from the same studio, or can we do that? Can that be done?
They were trying to get me to do it. They're like, Mikey, you just want to run both games?
Oh my Lord, I can't imagine.
Oh man, that'd be so much chaos. Like I couldn't listen to both of them at the same time, like without making my head explode.
I would think so, but I mean, who knows? If there was somebody who could do it, our team behind their board there, they've got to figure it out. So catch NDSU Hoops, men's and women's here tonight, both starting at 7 o'clock. We're going to take a break. It's 12:40. This is The Insiders with Kyle Emanuel and Chris Hansen on Bob 95 FM.
Always having a good time, but never letting it get out of hand.
I approach you from the front and kind of like, wow, this dude's pretty serious. Then I walk away and like, he likes to party with 2 R's.
You've got the Insiders on Bison 1660.
We all want to be part of a winning team, right? Hi, this is Marcus with Steamatic, and I am very proud of our team. Industry experts have voted Steamatic the best method of cleaning with our patented steam cleaning process, our 24-hour service, and highly trained technicians. We do it all from carpet cleaning, air duct cleaning, fire and water damage restoration, and remember, Bison fanatics choose Steamatic.
Steamatic, call 232-4707.
Bison Nation! Catch your Bison at Barcode this season. And before every home game, hop on the Barcode Bison Bus to the Dome to tailgate, and then back to Barcode to watch and cheer on your Bison. For only $15. The action only gets better after kickoff with beer bucket specials. That's 5 beers for just $20. You can mix and match Coors Light, Coors Banquet, Carbless Lemon Lime, Carbless Cranberry, and Carbless Black Raspberry. This season, the Bison are at Barcode, veterans just south of Costco. Go Bison!
No matter where you work, whether it's at your kitchen table or in the office, you need to collaborate with your team. ProConnect from Consolidated Communications makes it happen. You'll never miss a call when you can answer from your desk phone, laptop, or cell phone. And you can communicate instantly using real-time messaging. Confidently connect with customers over secure video conferencing and work together to create and share documents. Get ready to connect, collaborate, and communicate brilliantly. Choose ProConnect, your team collaboration tool from Consolidated Communications.
No one wants to think about it, but the cooler weather and cold morning starts are right around the corner. Get your vehicle ready at one of the 3 locally owned Jiffy Lubes of Fargo. Oil changes are the #1 maintenance item that's neglected. At Jiffy Lube of Fargo, it's easy. No appointment needed. Just drive up and drive in for your signature service oil change and a free charging system check to ensure your vehicle will be ready when you are. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, proudly serving the metro area for over 40 years, where you can do more in a jiffy.
What's worth seeing in your life, and what's seeing worth? This holiday season, Vance Thompson Vision invites you to give the gift of sight to someone you love. With the most experienced doctors, advanced technology, and world-class care, you can make the region's most advanced LASIK procedure this season's best stocking stuffer. To learn more about changing lives through the gift of LASIK, call 877-522-EYES or stop by Vance Thompson Vision today.
On the Rocks Craft Cocktails bring natural, refreshing, bar quality, balanced cocktails to the ready-to-drink category. Natural ingredients, no preservatives. Like the Mai Tai with Carusin Rum, the Margarita with Hornitos Tequila, an Old Fashioned with Knob Creek Bourbon, an Aviation with Larios Gin, or get spicy with a Jalapeno Pineapple Margarita with Tres Generaciones Tequila. Or maybe live it up with the Cosmopolitan with Effin' Vodka. On the Rocks Craft Cocktails. Hard to choose, easy to pour. Please drink responsibly.
Whether it's the FCS, NFL, or productivity at work, we have you covered.
That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
It's the Insiders on Bison 1660.
It's 12:43 here on the Insiders. Thanks for listening to us in the Theraldson Ethanol Broadcast Center. And today's Insiders brought to you by Dakota Bank and brought to you by the Spirit Shop. So thank you very much for making that happen today. One of the rumors that has been around today, kind of making some news, and Dan Patrick talked about it earlier here on Fox Sports Radio, and looking at NBC San Diego. San Diego State expected to leave the Mountain West Conference and join the Pac-12 Conference. On his national radio show, Dan Patrick said that he had been told the announcement would be coming early as this week. SDSU, San Diego State, not ready to make anything official. They had no comment regarding any conference realignment, according to the Aztecs, to NBC7 in San Diego. Now, you're probably thinking, what world of hill of beans does that mean? Why would we mention that here in Fargo, North Dakota? Kyle, why would we mention that?
Well, if San Diego State leaves, that might create a little bit of an opening in their current conference, which is the Mountain West.
So if they would leave Mountain West for the Pac-12, that would leave an opening there.
It would leave an opening, which would make things interesting. Because obviously the conference that everyone's always pointed to for NDSU, if they were going to move up, it doesn't completely make sense because you have Hawaii, but Hawaii doesn't make sense for anyone really outside of California, even there. But it is the Mountain West. So that's why I think, if this happens, like NDSU fans, obviously you're interested in this, but now there's conflicting reports, right? Dan Patrick says it's happening. Nicole Auerbach, who's a writer for The Athletic, says she has sources close to the situation that tells The Athletic the report is inaccurate. It's been my understanding that the Pac-12 will do its media deal first before any conference expansion. Now, to me, what that says, and I'm just guessing, is it's been talked about, it's rumored, maybe it leaked somewhere, but they're not going to do anything official until they get a media rights deal done. But I don't think that completely means it's not happening. I think it's still on the table. It's just, it might not happen right now. But we've seen these things, and maybe they all come at a certain time, but it seems like they just pop up out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, you're like, UCLA, USC going to Big Ten. Here you go.
And then a couple of other things
and
fall
then
after
something else
that.
happens. And everyone's kind of been waiting for that. Ever since that happened, waiting for something else. So this makes sense to me. San Diego is a good market. I know the TV deal is not the same as back in the day with streaming and everything, but San Diego is a good market with nothing but the Padres essentially there. You have San Diego State there. They're a big school. They've been successful. It makes sense. They're right there. Geographically, it makes sense, which seems to not ever – it's not even a factor anymore when they pick these teams. But if this were a factor, this one obviously fits well.
Now, long ago, NDSU fans, all we wanted was to get into the Big Sky. That's all NDSU fans wanted. Back when Stouse was whipping around in the Great West, they're like, oh, man, if we can get out of here and get in that big sky, that's going to make our lives. It didn't happen, and NDSU fans are very disappointed. They had to settle, if you would, with the Missouri Valley. Think that's worked out pretty well.
It's worked out all right.
Neighbors to the north said, we'll take the Big Sky.
Came back crawling
to
the Missouri Valley.
Had to cut sports because of it.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford to do it. So then I would ask the same question of that kind of look. Is, in your estimation, getting into the Mountain West all in everything that we think it should be? Or is it just we're grabbing at the first person who asks us to dance?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that there's obviously a million factors that go into it. The thing I would say is if this college football playoff expansion happens, and it sounds like it's going to probably sooner than later, is there really a bad place to go when there's 12 teams? And I don't really care what conference you're in. If you can be undefeated and maybe you get that one signature non-conference win, you never know. You might be in the conversation. Now, as it stands now, is it the best conference? I don't know. Again, you have to. There's so many other factors that Matt Larson has to deal with in terms of other sports. Remember, this is not just football. What does it look like for other sports? So, and we've talked to him about that a ton. It seems like the best conference for me is I think obviously the Big Ten would be the best. I mean, but that's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen.
Even that now, the Big Ten is turning coast to coast.
Coast to coast. You got some schools kind of close,
right?
But you have the same thing with the Mountain West. Obviously you got the California schools and things like that, but you still have Colorado State's right there. Idaho's not too far away. It's just I don't know. We'll see. But it's one of those things. Yeah, do you look back hindsight and say, well, no, that I'm glad we didn't go there? Or do you look back and say, yes, I wish we would have made that move?
Right.
That's for people that make more money than you and I and have more decision-making power.
Agreed.
They can make that decision. We can just talk about it.
I know. We can look at the pros and cons, but that's the only thing of what making sure that history doesn't repeat itself is that you want to make sure that you're not just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Correct.
So when we come back, we got a phone call. Can we take him when we come back? We'll grab John.
We should do it now.
You want to do it now? Okay.
Let's do it now.
Let's just.
Micah runs the show.
Hey,
that's right.
Should
as he should.
I'm not here for running a show. Kyle's not here for running a show. We're both thinking about what is going to be for lunch when we get done here in 10 minutes. So we'll bring in John in West Fargo. John wants to talk about rule changes. What's up today, John?
Hey, I thought this would be a good day to call in. Two of the smartest football minds are on their air right now, so here you go. Here's rule changes according to me. If I was the commissioner here, 6 of them. False start would be 3 yards. Encroachment would be 3 yards. Holding would be 5 yards. I don't like the 10-yard thing.
I'm with you 100% on that one.
Do not like that. A safety would be 4 points instead of 2. And pass interference in college, 15 is just not enough. I don't know, 20 yards, whatever. And in college, I don't like the knee down thing. I'd rather it's done the way it's done in the pros. So that's my thoughts. What do you guys think?
Dude, John, thanks for taking care of the final break for us here. We appreciate that little show prep from John. I'm with him on the holding. I always thought that's something that happens literally on every play. Why should that be such an arbitrary penalty?
I'm not with you
of 10 yards
as a defensive lineman.
I know
because it's not called enough. If they're like, hey, it's going to be 5 yards and we're going to call it more, sure. But if you're going to call it the same clip, like it's a penalty. Like it's a game changer on certain plays. So it's. I know I'm a defensive lineman.
Could you do two different levels of holding, like you do with some of the running into or roughing? Like if it's away from the play and it happens, okay.
Well, if it's away from the play, they never call it anyway.
Well, that's true.
Trust me, there was plenty of times I was getting held. I'm trying to run to the ball. The play's like 15 yards away from me. I'm trying to run to the ball, and the dude's holding me, and the ref literally was like, "You're on the backside."
Worst
I
person
don't care.
who held you in the NFL. Worst.
Oh, it was a tight end. I think his name was Lee Smith. I think that was his name. He played for the Raiders. He played a long time. He was a really good blocker, but he would just maul you. Travis Kelce was a holder, too, because he doesn't love to block, but he'll just grab you. But it's not just that. I mean, I could list a million people. It just happens. I have PTSD when it comes to holding because I've been grabbed and pulled and yanked in every single way imaginable. And so, I'm never going to be for that. Okay. 10 yards, make it 15 yards. Stop holding.
Oh, man.
Stop holding.
Anytime Kyle Emanuel doesn't get to the ball, he was held.
Exactly.
Watch the tape again, right? Shine the light. Watch the tape.
No, don't do that.
And I don't like the pass interference in the pros of being 50, 60-yard penalties. It drives me nuts.
I agree. And I think John was saying it should be that in college. I disagree with that as well. I'd like the 15. A 70-yard penalty is just, and I know they want points, but it's just, and again, you could make the argument, well, it would have been a touchdown regardless, but you can make the argument on that on holding.
Everything else is leaning towards the offense. They're going to score eventually.
Exactly. 15 yards is plenty.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
There you go. Some rule change talk. Didn't see that one coming.
He'd been thinking about that one for a while. He had like 6 different things there. And the false start, 3 yards.
He did more prep for his 45-second phone call than we did for the entire show. Congratulations.
Don't tell the people.
Hey, we're shining the light here, too. You can see our all 22.
What about he said in college you should have to be touched down. So if you've touched, once you go to the ground, you have to be touched until you are actually down.
Safety issue?
I wouldn't mind that.
Is that why they do it? Is it a safety
thing?
I
honestly, obviously in the NFL, you have to be, if you fall down, you can get back up and keep running.
Well, these are kids.
Yeah.
These are college kids.
If there's a rule change that I want to get rid of the fair catch on the kickoff that you can take it to the 25.
Yep.
I want to get rid of that because I think you should be able to play it out. Like if the kicker does a good job of getting enough air on the ball and makes it
drops it at like the 23,
drops it at the the kicker gets it to like the 3-yard line, pins you in the corner, and can't take a fair catch.
Takes away that weapon.
Yeah, it's taking away the skill of kicking in the
that's a safety
good direction
issue too.
Yeah, it's all safety. We got to take care of everybody.
Safety.
All right, break time. 12:53. We got to cool off. It's got a little heated here in the last 4 minutes. Turn on the air conditioner. All right, it's Kyle Emanuel, Chris Hansen, and this is the Insiders.
Your home for the Thundering Herd.
Hey, you got any left-handed football?
Bison 1660.
Dakota Bank is one of the largest ag banks by volume in the United States, and certainly the top ag lender in the Dakotas. For decades, Dakota Bank has worked with ag producers just like you who are committed to the producers and families that make our communities great. I'm Judd Graham, Market President of our new Fargo, North Dakota location, and my team is here for you. Go with commitment, experience, and integrity. Dakota Bank, banking, insurance, mortgage, and trust.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Trust and insurance are not FDIC insured.
Are you an electrician? Are you looking for a change? JDP Electric is looking for commercial, industrial, and service electricians. JDP is looking for both journeyman and apprentice electricians. You could start your career today with a family-owned and operated business who's been serving our community for over 20 years. Full-time positions available with great pay and benefits. Call 701-232-1991 or email info@jdpelectric.net. Start your new tomorrow today. Come be a part of the JDP difference.
Hey, Brad. I feel like we've all been there around the holiday season where money is really tight and having some extra cash would really come in handy. I heard that Corwin Auto is helping stuff stockings this season. Is that right?
Yes. If you need some extra holiday cash fast, Corwin Auto will put a little extra jingle in your pocket this holiday season.
That sounds really nice. How can someone get some extra jingle in their pocket?
Corwin Auto wants to buy your used vehicle and will offer more money than ever to buy it.
So that truck that's just been collecting dust in the garage, you'll buy it?
Yes. Bring your vehicle into any Corwin location and have it appraised. Get an instant cash offer and walk about with more jingle. I mean cash on the spot.
It really sounds like there's never been a better time to sell a vehicle and get top dollar.
You are spot on. Let Corwin Auto help stuff your stockings this season. Stop by any of the 4 Corwin Auto locations today.
You heard Brant. If you need holiday cash fast, Corwin Auto will put a little extra jingle in your pocket this holiday season.
Here on Bison 1660, we love delivering the latest Bison news, but we also love our studio home.
Back inside our fantastic studio. You can't beat this one, folks. We love this place.
Now our home has a new name, the Tharaldson Ethanol Broadcast Center. Live shows and the latest coverage of NDSU athletics.
Director of Athletics Matt Larson joining us. Head coach Matt Entz with us in studio.
It's all presented by Tharaldson Ethanol, helping North Dakota lead the energy revolution. Join their growing team by visiting TharaldsonEthanol.com.
When it's time to make your next move, turn to Todd Kettermas with Beyond Realty to put the full court press on your home search. Whether you're looking for a quiet home in the suburbs or something downtown, let Todd Kettermas run the point for you in the search for your dream home. Call Todd Kettermas with Beyond Realty today or visit him at 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo. Todd is a proud partner and the preferred realtor of NDSU Athletics. Todd Kettermas with Beyond Realty, moving the herd one home at a time.
Here for you, for all the Bison football coverage you can handle.
These guys do an unbelievable job, and you want to know what's going on in Bison sports, tune into the Insiders.
The Insiders on Bison 1660 and 92.7 FM.
Thanks for joining us today here on the Insiders as the fill-in squad was in today, as both Andy and Rob are out doing basketball today. Andy out in Montana for a game against the Grizz tonight, and then Rob's down in Arkansas, a game against the Razorbacks tonight on the men's side and the women's side before that. So 7 o'clock, you can catch both those games on 107.9 The Fox and Bison 1660. Kyle Emanuel has, we want to end on one thing here, and it's the most head-scratching note of the day that we have seen so far.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a shocker, and we've had a loaded show. It's been a great show, but we had, I have to mention this. So you probably heard by now, Frank Reich was fired for the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. They bring in a guy, and if you haven't heard this yet, a little bit of a shocker, Jeff Saturday. Yes, that is ESPN's Jeff Saturday. The guy working in TV is now the interim head coach for the Colts. And when I first saw it, I was like, this is dumb. I don't understand it. But I actually don't hate it. I will go on that side. I don't hate it because he's a mindset guy, right? Like, he's a guy. I was just talking about head coach. Like, he's not gonna be calling the plays. He's not gonna be the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator. Like, they're still gonna have, like, that staff that's in place. They're gonna still call the plays. But he's going to come in and try and create a new culture around the Colts, and I'm guessing that's what Irsay wanted. Say, hey, we need a guy to come in and fire up this team, get them playing the way the team used to play when Saturday was a player. I don't hate it. Now, it is weird. I will give you that.
Really
it's kind of like NDSU. Like, I'm doing TV stuff now, like NDSU coming in and be like, hey, Kyle, you're now the head coach. And like, what?
Huh?
What are you talking about? Like, some of the internet is great right now, by the way. They're like all these memes of like when Jeff Saturday jokingly posted his resume to the head coaching job, and now he's got it. And he actually has been a coach before. Micah told us this. He was a head coach at Hebron Christian Academy football team in Dacula, Georgia, whatever, somewhere in Georgia. Wow. He has been a head coach, and he's also been a consultant for the team before. But yeah, there you go,
he's
Jeff Saturday,
interim head coach,
the 6-time Pro Bowl center and ESPN analyst Jeff Saturday is now the interim head coach for the Colts.
People thought it was weird when John Lynch went from the broadcast booth to becoming a general manager, and they've done great things in San Francisco since then. So who knows?
We'll see what happens.
Interesting. It can't get any worse right now in Indianapolis.
That's why I don't hate it.
All right. Have a great rest of the day. Micah Bindi, thank you so much for kind of being our tour guide as Kyle and I just come in here and kind of chop it up. As I said, when you're doing somebody else's job, you can't do it wrong. It's Chris Hansen and Kyle Emanuel, and this is the Insiders here on Bison 1660. Have a great day.
Need holiday cash fast? Corwin Auto will put a little extra jingle in your pocket this holiday season. Corwin Auto wants to buy your used vehicle